Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me here today on this Friday of Fridays. What is it, July 17th? Oh boy. Time is a social construct. And a flat circle. How is it already mid-July already? Hey Cisco, hey Connor, how you doing? Fallen, Milk Toast, Puppet. Thank you for joining me here today. What did I title this stream? Building Ultimate Skyrim SE? That's accurate. Hey Hazard, how you doing? Oh, what is that emoji? Oh, that's cute. Clown fox. Oh boy. So, hey Omnislip, Plot, how you doing? So this week, as you guys might know, some of you know, I am... Oh, the Reddit link didn't work. Oh, that's not good. Let's see what's going on there. Just right quick. Had some percent stuff at the end of it. What the H? Oh, if it doesn't work for you, chances are it doesn't work for other people, so we'll go ahead and check on it, just in case people try to pop in. Where's the link? Oh, what the... What the heck? Hey Brittany, how you doing? Since SE is coming, does that mean I'll be able to play in VR? Sorry if it's been asked before. That is a good question. Spokesy, I think it's a little more complex than that. I don't know that much about VR, Skyrim VR. That is, big VR fan in general, but I've never tried to use Skyrim VR. And I know that it does have some quirks that make it so that something that works directly on SE won't necessarily work directly on Skyrim VR, but it also does seem like, why can I not edit this? Oh, edit flare. Okay, thank you. God, the Reddit redesign is just the absolute worst, and apparently I can't edit it here either. Am I dumb? Am I just like missing this? Whatever. If it worked for Hazard, suppose it's fine. Anyway, I think that VR is feasible at the very least. I just can't guarantee it because I don't know if it'll work, frankly. I don't know enough about what VR needs in order to work versus just standard SE. The link inside the post works, but the one shown outside the subject line doesn't. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Reddit. I mean, I'm far from the only person to express this opinion, but the Reddit redesign is really bad. And, you know, typically with things like that, I like to just go with whatever the newest design is, so I'm not constantly fighting an uphill battle. But the Reddit redesign is one of those few things where I'm like, geez, I thought this was gonna get better versus the functionality of old Reddit, and it just hasn't. It's just, like, objectively worse. You can switch back to old Reddit, Puppet. It's just, like, you'll find a bunch of links that will take you back into regular Reddit, and you just constantly have to, you know, be on top of it. Praxis, online from the cancer ward. Greetings. How you doing, Praxis? I saw your post in Skyrim Mods. It made me laugh. I'm glad that you have fellow modders there in the ward with you. All I want in live is Ultimate in VR. Here's to hoping. You and me both. That would be a lot of fun. Hazard, you seem a bit under the weather. You doing okay? I'm doing okay. I'm just tired. I was up really late last night. Just same old, same old. Having a hard time pinning down the schedule, quarantine style. I end up... I'm constantly fighting against what seems to be my nature, where I just am most comfortable working at night, but everything happens during the day, so I just stay up late, and then my sleep is all weird. What I was gonna say... Oh, really? He's the head doctor, huh? That is really nice. To be able to share that. What a unique experience to be able to share with someone. It's like the only thing I can think of that's like comparable to that, where it's just this really niche thing that you guys both happen to know about. A buddy of mine one time was at like a motivational, like Tony Robbins not concert, but talk that like his dad had taken him to, because his dad got super into Tony Robbins for a while. So my friend was there, and one of the exercises that they had everyone in the audience do was this like icebreaker, where you're just supposed to list like 3 things you really like and 3 things you really don't like, and then share it with the person next to you. And my friend decided to put EA's Origin, like the launcher, on the top list of things that he doesn't like, which is of course like such an obscure reference, you know, in a room full of people who probably are not gamers, sick gamers. As it turns out, he shared it with the guy next to him, and the guy looked at it and just started cracking up. He's like, dude, I fucking hate Origin. It's like, me too. One of those, as we describe it, a high risk, high reward joke. But it is really nice when you find someone who kind of gets like an obscure experience that you guys both have. Also, Spokesy, you know what I'd really like is Skyrim VR alongside, imagine Skyrim VR, the possibility for it anyway, Skyrim together, so like multiplayer, and then like beyond Skyrim, assuming it's complete. That would be real cool, wouldn't it be? Excuse me. I think because I use Res, I never get sent back to new Reddit. Well, okay. It's been a while since I tried, I just got annoyed with it, but I also use Reddit Enhancement Suite, so maybe it would be okay for me too. I don't know, I'm sure the question has been asked, when is the launch? That has been asked many times. I'm still not comfortable giving dates yet, but the plan is to get it into your guys' hands the second the initial conflict resolution is done, or like once we've tested it and make sure everything works properly. So you'll get it much earlier than you would if we were waiting to implement all like the proprietary features and stuff I mentioned in the original post for like 4.1 or whatever it was, 5.0. Uninstalled Origin, even my password was me swearing it. Yeah, even like the password management is such a big ol' annoying thing. Maybe it's better now. I don't play a whole lot of EA games on the whole. Like the last one that I played relatively consistently was Apex, and I haven't been playing that. Nice to see your beard growing every week. Thanks, Rust. This is probably about the longest that I'll let it go. And then any longer than that, and I start to get a little bit too mountain man. But we'll see. I mean, it's not like I got anywhere to be. Liz and I are just here day after day. So, Skyrim. So what I was doing this week, if you guys remember in the last... oh, that's right, I did see that. EA games are now coming to Steam, which is like, thank God. It's just, like now that I'm futzing around in the creation kit, I'm having to use Bethesda's launcher, right? And I'm just, once again, this is not a unique opinion by any means. I'm just so tired of all these different launchers, and I'm so tired of them trying to like sell me everything under the sun with their like, it's not even like Steam, you know, where there's like a store page and it's like I go to the store page when I'm interested in buying new things. It's like, no, something like the Bethesda launcher or the Blizzard Activision launcher, the main splash screen or the main screen of the launcher is a bunch of games that you don't have that have big buttons on them saying buy this now, as if I'm like, I don't know, maybe there's some people out there who really just get it and they're like, I didn't know about this game, like this looks cool, and then, you know, they drive sales that way. It just feels so scummy to me. Bethesda does have a launcher. It's how you launch a lot of their games now. Like pretty much anything that's come out within the past 5 years is launched through the Bethesda launcher. Yeah, it makes sense to me, Connor, that it routes through Origin, but at least I don't have to, like, all anyone cares about is the UX of these apps, right? So like if it launches through Origin, Origin has to be running or whatever, but I don't have to touch it, whatever, that's fine, I'm okay. You know, at this rate we will do some Dylan character presets. That would be great. That would be really cool. That would make my day. So, before I get distracted, in the last stream, distracted again, in the last stream we were looking at some NPC stuff, right? Kind of comparing different appearances, making sure everyone had kind of a good fit for the game world. So after that, I really dove in, and I just really wanted to make sure. So there's a kind of a unique problem with NPC mods, right? Which is that if you, so like a lot of the NPCs that we looked at, they're very beautiful. They have a lot of attention poured into their appearance, and even the ones that are like over beautified, you can adjust those. And still reap the benefits of the characters looking like actual people instead of the kind of default Skyrim appearances, which are really, they leave a lot to be desired. However, it can create a problem of consistency, where if you have certain characters, even if they're not over beautified, you have certain characters that look much better in terms of graphic fidelity, you kind of want to make sure that every character in the game roughly shares that level of fidelity, or else there's like a consistency problem. And so that kind of became my concern. I also had some people reach out to me just being like, you know, they wanted to make sure that the characters that I implement into the game will fit within the world and so on and so forth. So I really dug into it and ended up doing a ton of research into just kind of like the NPC overhauls that are out there. And I've been doing a lot of work on NPCs in general. Just not only making sure that I've got the best fit for every individual NPC, but also making sure that NPCs across the board benefit from improvements that will quash that inconsistency that I mentioned. So, to that end, I'll show you guys some of what I did to do that. Now, first and foremost, this was tremendously helpful. This is the Patreon of Pandorable. If you guys are not familiar with Pandorable, she, he, they, Pandorable NPCs is one of the biggest NPC overhaul authors in the game. We use a lot of these. These are a lot of the ones that we looked at on stream last time. I think Pandorable's NPCs are, I mean, this, of course, this is subjective. I think they're the highest quality NPC overhauls available. I think Pandorable's absolutely excellent at, I think it's a she, but I don't want to say that and be wrong. Whatever, she does. And so I went and discovered this Patreon post that she had made on her Patreon, which is this, in case you guys want to follow her. Follow them. Oh, Catherine. Okay, so it is a woman. I'm gonna cough. Oh, excuse me. So she made this really, really helpful post that essentially is her own personal list of NPC overhauls that she uses. So I went through all of these, and I don't use every single one. Not all of them are quite to my tastes. A good example of that would be like, was it Men of Winter? Or Male NPC Overhaul. Like, these were not quite for me. Like, I don't know who that, I think that's supposed to be, what is his name? I don't know who it is. Well, I mean, clearly a big old Nord. I think it's the right-hand man of Ulfric Stormcloak, which it's just, a lot of these are very like, this guy's a male model kind of feel. Same thing, this one's actually okay. But, I don't know, it's like, not quite, like, you look at this. That's actually not bad. Maybe I should take a look at these. Oh, I can't go back through them again. Maybe we will, though. These are actually not as bad as when I first checked. Some of the hairs are a little bit too male model, but you know how it goes. Like this one. Although, once again, there's at least a lot of precedent in... See, it's like, it's almost like a super intensity Nathan Drake, is it not? Did the hair YouTube help? I forgot to check it out, plot. I actually went and just kind of like did a bunch of research on ESO. What was the link again? Can you send it to me? Would you mind? And then I'll check it out right now. I did a lot of work on, or just like researching ESO and other stuff to see kind of what the standards were. These are actually not bad. Ugh. It's kind of JRPG. This one's good. What is this? Tullius? Look at this. Very groomed. It's like this one's kind of cool. It's like kind of like a wild man situation. Arender. But see, like that, so it's not quite for me. Anyway, most of them are much more generic than that. And I actually, for dudes especially, I kind of shy away from proprietary hairstyles just because they have a tendency to look a little bit too, you know, put together for the sake of men. But let's see, am I the only one getting kind of serious anime vibe? Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get. Intrigues me the way the hair and facial color don't have a matching color. It's true. I mean, some people do not have matching colors for their like facial hair and their hair. Like typically your hair is a little bit lighter, but it should be in the same ballpark at the very least. Like in the beard, came here from your YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Refined Elephant. Hey BB, hope you're having a great day. I was happy when I can make it to a stream. Thank you for coming, Greed. But anyway, so I've been going through a bajillion different NPC overhauls and testing the... Well, so the first thing that I really wanted to make sure before I even bothered, I was like, I'm not going to go through all this effort because it's tremendous effort to compare all the appearances. I'm not going to go through all this effort unless I can ensure with relative, you know, confidence that the end result is going to be contiguous. And I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like right now, just so you can kind of get a sense of it. Let me make sure I have, okay, vanilla hair replacers off. So if I jump in game, I'll show, now not everything is conflict resolved yet. We're still going to see at least a few tinted face bugs here, but you should be able to get a sense of the across the board improvements, you might say, to all the NPCs, as well as the NPCs that have more individual attention. And in my opinion, the end result is really solid, especially when you have vanilla hair replacer. I think that's a big one because for the NPCs that do have their own proprietary hairstyles, those hairs are the ones that conflict most obviously with the vanilla hairstyles, because the vanilla hairstyle meshes are so blocky and strange. So when you add in vanilla hair replacer, it really evens that out, because now everyone more or less has a proprietary hairstyle that looks like actual hair instead of the strange kind of Lego shapes of OG Skyrim, and that really helps a lot. However, we're not going to see that here just because if I turn on vanilla hair replacer, that's going to cause the face tint bug on a bunch of these characters. And I'm leaving that off just for now so you can kind of get a sense of what they look like facially. Excalibur, hello, how you doing? I'm going to open this link plot just to have it up. Oh, right, real ancient warrior hairstyles for men, Vikings.
If you're a fan of shows like Vikings, The Last Kingdom, and other cool historical warrior shows like that,
I'm hoping I won't get flagged. So I'm just going to kind of skip through it just in case this is going to content flag me. Take a look at these knots. Subian knot, Vikings. Very cool. So there actually is a lot of stuff in the game that looks a lot like this. And this is kind of a look that I really enjoy. This kind of long-haired, as long as, of course, like the hair, if it's showing through a helmet, depending on someone's occupation, like it has to be out of their face. That's like a big one for me. I check for every NPC, I check the UESP if I don't recognize them, just to kind of get a sense of what they do within the world, to kind of inform, you know, my decision as to what they should look like. And what I've been doing here, so what I don't know if this level of detail is called for, but to me, it just bothers me if I don't do this. What I've been doing is I've been going through all the different NPCs and just essentially like I have them stacked, so to speak, pretty close to this, the ones that I do use in terms of order. So you have Pandorable at the very end, then I think for me I have Baijin, and then I have Kalili's, and so on up. And what I plan to do is just, I've been noting every single NPC that has meaningful different choices for their appearance. And what I mean by that is that, you know, you'll have one NPC that has maybe Pandorable edits them, Kalili's edits them, Fresh Faces edits them, excuse me, and, you know, Waiko, or what's it called, Inhabitants of Skyrim. So I take note of all the different options that we have and list them here. So you can see there's a lot of NPCs are skipped because they will either have only one of these mods editing them, so then it's fairly simple. It's like, let's just go with that one. And if it's NPCO or Waiko, those are very similar. Those are the baseline. Like, you can rest assured that if those mods are editing an NPC's appearance, the appearance is going to be relatively vanilla, just like an improved vanilla plus. So those are kind of safe to leave where they are. But if there is a character who has several different mods editing them, I take note of that. So whoever Reldith is, I'm assuming it's a female because Kalili's is here. So this means, I'm going to turn off this music because I'm getting confused. Too much sensory input at once. This, in my little shorthand, tells me that the one that I have currently forwarded is Cal's. CFB means check for beautification, just to make sure that, you know, it's not overdone. And that Alt NPCO and Alt Wyco means that I have 2 additional options that I can explore if I don't like what this one's doing, or if I just want to see what the other ones are. The problem, at least that I've run into, is that there's not a super easy way to compare the NPC appearances side by side. I tried a lot of different methods. I sat and brainstormed for a long time to try and come up with different ways that I might make this easier. And after all my testing, really the only way to do it is just to, like, you can't even, like, create separate instances of the NPCs and other plugins, because then things like their face tints won't work. The way that face tint and face geometry is assigned in Skyrim is very particular, and so you have to... There's not a quick way to compare them, right? But I have it all listed here so that I can make it as quick as possible, and that's going to be my plan once I go through all the way. Groove, howdy, you finally made it stream. Love using the mod pack. Excited to see where it's going now. Thank you very much, Groove. Omnislip, believable Mr. World. Thank you very much, Omni. We're trying to cut down on that installation time too, so it'll be even quicker for everyone. Without further ado, now let's jump in here, and we will see. Brittany, I had so many questions for you about the last stream, even wrote them down. I lost the paper I wrote them down on, I cannot for the life of me remember even one of the questions. Rough. Well, if they come back to you, Brittany, feel free to send them my way. I'll do my best to answer them. Yeah, so once I get through all these NPCs, then I get to compare them. That's going to be somewhat time consuming, but it's kind of fun, and to me it's worth it. It's just like, it's the same level of detail that we apply to everything, you know, and I think it takes a little bit longer. I try to do it efficiently. It takes a little bit longer, but I've always found that the end result is worth it in one way or another. Even just, there's been, I mean, I've said this before, there's so many times throughout development that I'll be doing something like that is just hyper detailed and questionable as to the, you know, the value that it's generating, and I do think that it's important to look at that kind of thing. You have to constantly evaluate the value something presents versus the time that it takes to do. But typically speaking, I think I have at this point, for my own subjective tastes, a decent intuition as to what generates value for me versus things that don't. And this would be a good example of something that I'm like, it's worth putting in the effort to really compare and really make sure everyone fits, you know, in a way that feels good and feels consistent and contiguous. And then you inadvertently end up getting other stuff out of it too. Like, for example, I notice now that because I've been looking at all these NPCs, I recognize a lot more of them, like, more often. And it's kind of nice to just kind of grow my understanding of the game at large. That kind of comes in handy, and like, who's where, and like, what are they, and what do they do, and whatever. All right, someone give me a race. It's gonna be a female. Give me a race and a name. Hey Alan, how you doing? I am here and also not here. Schrodinger's Alan. Heckin' Baglungo. Alright, well, we got a name, Heckin' Baglungo. And we got a Breton. So we got a Breton female. And her name's going to be Heckin' Baglungo. So you can kind of see already. So these are basic presets, right? Now what we have here are just improvements to face geometry is a big one. That just, let me see if I can zoom in here. It's subtle, but there are improvements installed to the kind of baseline, what you would call the baseline building blocks of NPCs. Things that make their faces look a little bit more natural, like a little bit less angular and strange, a la vanilla Skyrim. And the really cool thing about that is that, and this was a big worry of mine, we obviously have a lot of mods now that add generic NPCs of various sorts, right? There's all different kinds of NPCs occupying locations or wandering between locations or just, you know, moving around the towns and the cities. And those characters are obviously not going to get the individualized attention that some of the vanilla NPCs do with these mods. So a big concern of mine was those generic characters and making sure that they didn't look out of place compared to these other NPCs who got that more individualized attention. And in my personal opinion, I really don't think that they look out of place. I think they look great with these kind of general improvements. You guys can judge for yourselves in a moment. We get like a hairstyle. What kind of sick hairstyle do we want? It's kind of like a Karen haircut. It's like a mixture of like a Karen with also the, like, was that a ponytail in the back? Interesting. Longer than your typical. Okay, I mean, none of these are really doing it for me. These are long. That's cute. I like this one. Let's go with that. Thank you, Anordil. And hello, Heckin' Lungo. For those of you who don't know, which is all of you except for Connor, that is the name of my horse in Red Dead Online, which Connor and I play. Gotta be, that's where, you know, that's where I'm getting the inspiration for the beard, of course. All the skin seems really smooth in these packs. Is that the stream or just how they tend to roll? I'd say on the whole, they're more smooth than they are rough. Like, ugh. Sort of like a... No, I guess that's 90 FOV. Still feels weird sometimes. Oh, and you know what? I actually, right now, I have the new weathers running, and then, like, the weathers and lighting. So, it's actually going to look especially good. Where are we right now? Riverwood? No. Where is this? Oh, we're in Solitude. So you kind of get to see... So I actually... This was another thing that I did this week that I forgot to mention. I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of lighting and weather. Because if you guys recall, my initial decision for weathers was going to be Obsidian. Just because it's really, really beautiful. It's probably the most popular, even still to this day, most popular weather mod for special edition. But it's beautiful. It does have some issues, and the issues are mostly gameplay. I was talking with Connor about this. Oops, look at this man go. What do I have? Any weapons? Oh, just my fists. Well, I'm gonna kill you. The primary issues with Obsidian weather, without getting too deep into it, is that so like the guy who made realistic AI detection, if you guys are familiar with that. Oh, you guys are dropping frames. Uh-oh. Getting some lag spikes. Lag and frames are leaving. Name my horse after Siri from The Witcher, because why not? Said on the whole, dropping frames. Probably Dylan's internet. Very laggy. What the hell? On my end, I'm not showing any... Like, I literally have 0.0% dropped frames. Maybe if I do this? Is that better? I turned off the ENB. Way better. So probably what it is I have the SSA display tweaks stretching this, right, to like upscale it. So that plus the stream plus ENB apparently is something it doesn't like it. All right, we'll look at stuff this way. Although I might pop into ENB just to kind of... They look so much better like without that. But anyway, before I get sidetracked again, so Obsidian Weathers has some problems with what you might call detection. It's a gameplay issue, and that's why it's important to me. Some of the weathers in Obsidian actually report higher light levels to the engine than actual darker weathers. So what I mean by that is you'll get like inclement weathers, like snowstorms, you know, heavy rain, heavy fog, that actually, as far as the engine is concerned, these weathers have higher light levels than other weathers that are less inclement. So like, you know, clearer weathers, you'll say, weathers that you can realistically see further. And the problem this creates is that the light levels as detected by the engine are incorporated into the detection calculations that occur when the game's trying to determine whether or not an enemy sees you, for example. And so I really wanted to avoid a scenario whereby the player was somehow easier to detect in a snowstorm than they were outside of the snowstorm. That is a a big problem for me because I you know, I want you to reasonably expect a level of cover and I want you to expect that the same visual difficulty that you're experiencing in making out targets is what the NPCs are expecting or are experiencing as well. I can fix the FOV as well, Cisco. It's just that SE seems to run strangely. Like, it's FOVs here. FOV 100. Like, that feels more like 90 to me in other games. The problem is that bringing the FOV out actually does impact performance. But anyway, that kind of weather stuff was a big problem for me. And as it turns out, the same author of Raid, that's Realistic AI Detection, listed some other weather. He basically just did like a big testing session of all the different popular weather mods and how well they performed in terms of that kind of contiguousness. And he found that this weather mod that I'm using, Equinoctium, is really, really solid across the board when it comes to the light levels that you would expect from each weather. And it also comes with the plus, in my opinion. This is one of the only areas in which Obsidian didn't quite do it for me, is these dark nights. It's not quite obvious, and this is super clear. This tends to trend brighter when you do Forest Weather 81A. But night times in Equinoctium are much darker than in Obsidian. In Obsidian, even at like the darkest parts of night, you would have this kind of blue and like blue, purple, orange kind of happening towards the horizon. So it was still quite bright, but I really like it. Alan Infinity, remember many of us will want to stream, so stuff like that is scary. You're talking the EMB. You shouldn't have any problems with it compared to like what I'm doing. What I'm doing is kind of a weird, hacky workaround. That's always been something that makes me rage. I hate it when it gets super dark in a storm. Can't see my hand in fog. Yes, exactly. VR is the same. Sometimes it works with EMB, sometimes not. Back to work. Have a good day. Thank you very much for stopping by, Alan. Hyperactive, try mod list. I don't know why the exclamation mods. I thought I added a command for that, but maybe not. Yeah, so this is really solid. And if you go somewhere like Falkreath, for example, you can see... There it is. Although, actually, that's pretty outdated as well. Alan, want me to follow up with getting bots set up? What are you referring to, Alan? I must have missed it. Yes, Equinoctium also has seasons where, you know, it really does differentiate weathers based on what time of year it is. Hey, Moonlam, how you doing? Bots in here. I have the Streamlabs bot, I think, or maybe the Stream Elements bot. I can't remember. There are some. So this is a reasonably foggy night on... or in Falkreath. So you can see, it is really hard to see, and if I turn on the EMB just briefly, even darker. And it also has Night Eye built in and all that kind of fun stuff. They aren't showing in here, probably not authenticated. They should be authenticated. I know that the stream... In fact, I know that I set them up as mods. I don't know, though. I mean, honestly, all that shit kind of escapes me. It's not really, at this point, my super huge priority. Although it's better to get it set up than to not have it set up. So anyway, let's call it 20. What I specifically want to do, so you can see there's some fog here. Let's go to Solitude. Oh, you know what we got to do? Let's make it 19 actually, because that way I can go ahead and let that Solitude scene play out. Does it change internal lighting, or do you have another lighting mod for that? Bye, Alan. How you doing? How you doing? See you later is what I meant to say. God, my brain isn't working, guys. I told you. Does it change internal lighting, or do you have another lighting mod for that? So these mods do not affect internal lighting. Those are entirely separate mods. In this case, we have... oh, she's a vampire. I think. Maybe not. Wood Elf race. Nope, she just got bright eyes. She looks like a vampire, though. Who are you guys? Improved roads? So Tierra, you can see like these are all generic NPCs added by Improved Roads. You can see that like they really, to me, it's like their skins, their like little eyeshadow makeup looks solid enough. They don't look out of place to me. Also, I'm gonna try turning the ENB back on. Tell me if it gets all shitty again. I did update the ENB binaries to like the latest one, and we have like some effects like depth of field and stuff. So you guys getting lag again? Come on, kill him. Oh, you know what? I can see it on the preview. It is like a little bit laggier. I wonder why that is. That's so strange. I wonder if it's like a specific effect. Let's see. Maybe the depth of field? Huh. That looks better. But it's still not great. That's so strange. I wonder why that is. Because I did update the ENB binaries, and I have a different version of... What's it called running? Oh, well. Alright, so we'll let this play out. What was I saying? Yeah, so this is Equinoctium. It's real nice. It makes sense that it's really dark. This is... What time is it? 7:30. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. I'm sure we'll figure it out, though. What's up? It could just be that it doesn't interact well with the borderless full screen or whatever it is. You never know with these kinds of things. Look, I'm up here. Oh, he got killed. I missed it. Come on, guys. He's dead. Oh, we look at some of the NPCs in the meantime. I so you got Terry. She is one of the Radiant Raiment people. A lot of these people will look a little bit better because they typically do not leave town at all. So they are, you know, reasonably hot, I guess, is like a good way of putting it. Yeah. Of course, waiting here will be vagrancy. Hopefully this kind of gets them moving. At least some of them. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn off Sounds of Skyrim. Or is it Civilization? Just to get rid of these shouts, which tend to annoy me when I'm in the taverns. I feel like most people should be in here already. There we go. So this is kind of like a good sense of what people will look like. I'm going to try and throw... Yeah. Oh, I don't have... Okay, well I got 100 crime gold. That's an interesting way of putting that. Depth of field is something that I typically turn off plot, but in the newest version of Rudy ENB, there's like this really performance-friendly version that I've tweaked myself so that it is... very unintrusive. It only happens when you get real close, and it happens so kind of like quickly and not... Well, this is actually the in-game depth of field. That actually could have something to do with it too. The Skyrim SSE depth of field default, which I have turned on just so the ENB can create actually underwater fog, sort of. There's a... Hey, Insanity, how you doing? So here you go. Here's your... I'm going to turn on the ENB. Just hopefully we can get... without too much lag, we can get kind of like a showcase. As you can see, these people, like, this is a dude who is not, he doesn't have individual attention paid to him by any of the mods. He's more interesting NPCs, and yet to me he still looks a lot better than the vanilla NPCs because he's getting to benefit from those kind of like generic, you know, improvements. Excuse me. Here's Lizette. So the bards are often very cute because, you know, they're bards, right? They're entertainers. They get a lot of attention. People like to edit them as well. So there's Lizette. This man, same thing. They're not being generically named. I think they're lagging behind a little bit. They actually might not have, like, Berserker and Nomad might not be registered by real names. They might not know how to look. Is this the SSE version or LE Next remake? This is SSE. Oh, this is... She's not looking... super cute. But so for the people who are worried about everyone being super hot, I think the existence of characters like this are, you know, maybe a counter argument to that. And who we got? This guy Esmond, looks like just a regular old dude. Who else we got in here? And of course, keep in mind that these hairstyles are not final as well. Hissin, don't know him. Good Jorun. This lady, she's generic as well, I think. Oh no, she's Pandorable. I don't recognize Eris. If there's the next LE version, have many mods changed? There, I mean, the next like LE version, quote unquote, is just 4.0.7, which is just patches for bugs. The development on LE is fossilized. It's not continuing as far as features go. So this is kind of a good, I think, just baseline of what characters will look like. Atar is he's edited. The last people who edited him are probably, yeah, males of Skyrim. So you get kind of this whole, I really like having, I mean, I'm going to go and add even more idle markers so you don't have as many people just like quite standing around. But this is a general kind of feel, right, of what you can expect from the various NPC appearances. Holy cow, my streaming comments are 1 minute behind. Oh, that's not good. I'm showing here, I got 0 drop frames, so I don't know what's going on. And also, I don't have an ENB on at this point either. Yeah.
You were there for Rogvir's execution.
I was.
People to see in places to go.
And even these are not final, because like a lot of these different appearances, right? Like I had that massive list, this one right here. So everyone that you see here, which actually does include a lot of people even that we can see in this tavern, is going to get compared. All the different NPC appearances that are available for them, I'm going to compare and just make sure they all fit and so on and so forth. But hopefully this gives you a general sense of the fidelity of the NPCs across the board. So, you know, you guys might disagree, but in my opinion, I think that there is a really strong kind of baseline appearance for everybody. I don't think anyone looks really out of place. I think that there are people who are, you know, attractive, people who are less attractive, and that they're, yeah, like Roma says, there's a decent variety. So it's pretty good. Let's see. Like variety, well, at least you have plenty of time. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this is what I do. Is your FPS dropping or is my PC dying? So my FPS is always pretty strange whenever I'm in, or whenever I'm streaming, especially if I'm in an area with a lot of NPCs, but you can see my FPS in the top right, like it just dipped down like 47 for a hot second, right? Hello, hello, hello. How do you guys sleep with all this noise? What's up, bro? Don't know you. Don't know. Yeah, so there you go. That's the general kind of outlook of, or the general appearance of all the NPCs. Who's this man? Belrand. What kind of texture packs are you considering for the SSE version? Oh man, there's a lot that are in there. None of them are being shown here. This is all vanilla. With the exception of those NPC appearances, right? Here, I'll go ahead and close this out, actually. But I can show you the texture layout, build loadout, I guess you could call it, is very particular for me. I have it listed on the other profile. Let me just back these up just in case. So this is the default that has some of that stuff enabled. Actually, you know what I could do? Here, this is probably a better idea. Thanks for joining us, yo. Also, Ring and JU, really appreciate it. So you can see there's a whole lot of appearance and texture mods listed here, right? I can throw these on, and you want to see the frame rate really tank. We can go ahead and take a look at that. In fact, let's do this. Why not? Sure, Beard's Brows. True Storms, I'll leave off. High quality LEDs, better dynamic snow, blended roads. Boom, boom, boom. And these are, so you can see like Mysterious Dawns, HD Skyrim Overhaul, Skyland, SSE Texture Pack. I have these all individually edited to show and hide certain textures. So, there is a whole lot to take in. I can barely get above. This would be like for the ultra preset. Like anyone who's going to be using this stuff. This is, if you have a weaker PC, these things are not going to be what you're going to be running. You'll probably just run the vanilla, right? Like either the low preset or whatever it is. Ow. You can see what it looks like. Sure. This is also going to donk a lot of other stuff. But you can see what it looks like. Wonder if I'll be able to run the Ultra preset. Dylan, what do your PC specs look like? Here, I'll show you. My PC is getting quite old at this point. This is the best longevity I've ever gotten out of any parts before. So I have my processor's an i7-4790K. I've had this thing for like 5 or 6 years. Same thing with my graphics card. When did my graphics card is just a 1080 stock, right? When did that come out? Let's see, GTX 1080 release date. Verdant can be, you know, a tank. Well, I mean, versus vanilla, it's gonna 2016. Well, 4 years. May 27, 2016. 4 or 5 in that ballpark. When was the i7-4790K released? 2014. So this one's almost 7 years old. My computer, you know, I try to take good care of my computer, just with best practices, maintenance, that kind of thing. But it's starting to show its age. I'm actually keeping it right now kind of as is because I'm using it as kind of a benchmark for the ultimate Skyrim performance, especially with all these kind of graphical improvements. Like when I run it, not during a stream, but just, you know, when I'm running it, you know, offline with just one monitor, no Google Chrome windows or anything like that open, which really does affect the performance as well. Hey, Sacrolettes, how you doing? I'm just trying to kind of use my computer now as a baseline because I feel like it qualifies as a mid to high end computer at this point. Like elements are high end, other elements are like more middling, but I think it's a reasonable expectation of what people kind of have. I think the most common graphics card is the 1060. And there's some other, I can't remember what the processor was, but I'm trying to keep it relatively close to that so that I can experiment with the performance on my own and have like a general level of confidence that what I'm experiencing is what most players will experience. And that's on like the ultra preset or the high. Does multiple monitors affect performance? Oh, absolutely, Baron. So when I'm streaming, it's like, I should get rid of like this stuff too, but that's part of the stream because this is a development stream. You would be surprised all the different stuff on your computer that can affect your performance. Multiple monitors will affect your performance even if the monitors aren't doing anything particularly intense. In this case, multiple monitors can affect performance quite a lot because I have OBS running and I can see a little preview of my own stream. Google Chrome is a massive memory hog, so that will affect your performance. Generally speaking, if you want to squeeze the most out of your games, and this applies across the board, not just for Skyrim, you want a single monitor, as no Google Chrome windows especially, but ideally no browser of any kind. Essentially, like everything that you don't need, turn it off. Any programs. I mean, like system tray applications, depending on what they are not a huge deal, but it's you know, you just want to be mindful of what is running still. Just kind of know what's happening on your machine. Cortex from Razer is pretty good from increasing frames performance. What is that? Razer Cortex. Is that one of those like after, like, yeah, PC mobile performance booster? This is like an app. Yeah, see, so I don't, stuff like this might help. I used to use things like MSI Afterburner, and they're similar. I would say just be careful because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people experiencing problems, not just with with Skyrim, but with like many different games that ended up being something that their MSI Afterburner was doing, or like what's the other super popular one? I can't remember what it was. But any of those kind of like apps that run and like put your PC into like gaming mode or whatever, and it could have improved. I was so turned off by how many issues I had in the past that, you know, I just don't mess with that stuff anymore. But if it works, it works. Just be mindful of it. And I would also say that if you start to experience any issues with your games, that would be the first thing to troubleshoot, in my mind. Barenberg, with low performance, increase CTD. It can. Depends on what you mean by low performance. If you have a slightly weaker computer with like less memory, for example, that could be more likely to produce crashes just because, you know, the game is trying to allocate resources and your computer's not able to keep up. With Special Edition, if you're talking about Skyrim specifically, Special Edition is really good at allocating resources comparatively, and it's really good at keeping the game from crashing just in general. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Don't buy toy machines. My 3950X can run a couple of VMs in a game that all at the same time still look idle in Task Manager. I mean, if you know, what is that? Is 3950X, is that one of like the Ryzen chipsets? Whoops. 3950X. Yeah, I mean, these things are supposed to be beastly, but it's also $750, so... I mean, you would hope that your $750 processor... Oh yeah, my cat is wanting it, I can hear it. Come on, Dingus. Come on. She is incessant. She'll sit there and she'll bang on the door. I'll let her in, and as cats do, she'll turn around and want right out back again. These Viking hairstyles. I like her hair a lot. I wonder if that's her natural hair color.
Grab a chunk of hair from in front, like this. Divide it into 3 strands.
Look, we're all Skyrim now. Guys, you think I could do this with my hair? What do you think here? I don't think it's quite long enough to braid. What do you guys think? Maybe a little bit. Then I can do it myself. Anyway. Oh yeah. Here. Whoops. Why do I keep mistaking that for Skyrim? Grow your beard and do it with that. That's a good idea. I could be like Roggy Knotbeard. Okay, so we got... Those are most of the textures. Noble as like the other baseline. It's going to take a lot longer to load. Excuse me. Check this shit out though. It's going to look crazy, I promise you. Let's see if we can get the frame rate down into the 10s. Excuse me. Detailed rugs. Any banners. Blah, 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 blah. Why don't I just do this for these? Most of these I'm going to turn on a big old chunk. Odd question, what kind of chair do you use for streaming, and would you recommend? I can't remember the name of this chair. I bought it a few years back. It's pretty nice. It's like you can lean back in it, which is really cool. Like, for me anyway, because I like to do this when I'm getting tired. More than anything, I'd recommend a standing desk, to be honest with you. Being able to stand up intermittently is just huge. I can show you. This chair is good. I honestly can't even remember what it's called. And it's pretty old, so I'm sure that there's, you know, even better chair technology that's out there. I'm just not an expert in it. I always see people with those like sick ass gaming chairs, right? Oh god, I need to vacuum in here. That seems to be good. I don't really know. Everyone has them. I'll stand up for a little bit. This I would recommend vehemently, a standing desk. Maybe not great for something like streaming, but I mean you can just alternate between, right? Recently changed how wood cutting works. Wood chopping blocks no longer unlimited source. I remember you were talking about that, Sack, where it's like it's actually you need wood in order. Like imagine that you can't just infinitely generate wood from a wood chopping block. Remove dialogue line. I have firewood to sell. Yeah, I plan on doing that actually for the what's it called? Miners as well. Actually, we have so. You can do that yourself. I would also look into a mod that we use called, it used to be called Immersive Merchandising, but now it's called, I always say this every, realistic trading stocks of Skyrim plus D&D spellcasting service. But what that essentially does is it doesn't make the changes to the wood chopping like you just mentioned, but it does take a lot of NPCs that kind of should be merchants and make them into merchants and give them kind of the inventory that you would expect. So like farmers and wood mill owners and things like that. Definitely on my way to some cool hair stuff. Growing mine out for the first time since I cut it all off 10 years ago. Stoked to have long hair again. Oh man, DM harms. I used to have long hair when I was in high school. It was a big old pain in the butt. So I finally shaved it off like junior year. How's Ultimate Skyrim SE mod list building? It's going great, Ashen. Thanks for popping by. Desk Ascension is the best part of the stream. Oh yeah, don't strike me. Yeah, they don't like those sick gamer chairs. Because forever, like historically, the gamer chairs weren't that good, like ergonomically. Like they looked, you know, they had like the sick RGB appearance if that's what you're into, but ergonomically they weren't anything special. That might be changing now though. I see so many people, so many streamers who have these kind of like gamer chair looking things that like, I mean, I guess it is possible that they are not great and it's just kind of like a trend, but I also wouldn't be surprised if those kinds of chair manufacturers have actually started pouring some effort into the ergonomics, especially as we have so many people kind of at their desks nowadays. Here, let's enable these. EMB light is a great one. Not those, not these glorious doors. Those are Skysight skins. Oh, of course. KS hairdos, interesting NPCs. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, someone asked me about a follower mod earlier, and I forgot to reply. But I can't remember which one you mentioned, but if it was, I have a lot of follower mods that are going to be in there. Maybe not in the first build because I'm trying to keep it fairly similar to LE, but eventually, like I think we have like a Nego and stuff in here somewhere, and like interesting NPCs. Improved Eyes of Beauty, of course. The Eyes of Beauty, you gotta have them. And the Illigate Eye, Unreal. Wait a second. Which one did I have installed? Miko Reborn. Gotcha. Oh, I think so. How many Lovers Lab mods? As of now, there actually is one in here, Ring, but it's not like a sex mod. It's like a AI mod, one of those mods that you can only find on Lovers Lab for some reason. Infinite anyways, you want to speed it up, why don't you just use console commands then? Yeah, for me, what I'd like to do, I mean, I've said this in other streams, like, for wood chopping, like, if you pay to use someone's fire, obviously the firewood is the resource. That's what should really matter. If it's going to be infinite, then I would like to be able to speed it up Sim style. So it's like, or like you chop wood for an hour and you end up with X amount of firewood, right? Like that's, to me, the preferable way to do it. Or you have them engage in the animation and then you speed up time, which is closer to how The Sims does it. Let me check this real fast. I can't remember. One of these I use and the other one I don't. Gotcha. Miko's the puppy, right? Where's my eyeballs mods? Nibs, Pandorables, frankly HD Mirak. Now these are unsorted. Here we go. Oh, all of them, I guess. Maybe these are the meshes. This is, I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked at these. All right, all of them are on then. Fine. It's been a while since I took a look at this. Yeah, Rustic Soul Gems. Duh. Stinking stairs. Yeah, unlimited firewood. It just doesn't make sense because it's not unlimited. Like, firewood is a resource like any other. And also, it's like the whole vanilla system of, like, bring me some wood and, like, I'll pay you for it. Or, like, I'll pay you for the ore that you can mine. Like, to get down there and mine. You can just walk off with all of it. It's fucked. It's not good. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. Wait a second. Snow. Ah, whatever. I'll worry about that later. Enhanced. Oh, HD Mark Hearth. Glorious Dwarven Metal. Enhanced Textures Detail. Actually, no, I don't need that one right now. Rustic Monuments. Thank you, Fygar. Can I make a suggestion? Heterochromia Complete. Just add it post install. I want to see your thoughts. What is that? It allows me to have 2 different eye colors. Sepulchre. Are there any absurdly high quality texture? Oh, there's tons. A lot of them are in here. If you're talking about like in general, high quality texture mods. Texture mods for what specifically, Puppet? Because I can give you some stuff. I have never. How does heterochromia complete work? Never seen it before. Let's find out. I know what heterochromia is. I should gotta put Skyrim, I suppose. Eye customization overhaul. My guess is that, let's see. Oh, okay. That is interesting. Okay, well, this is old enough that it's before the implementation of SKSE, so that's kind of a problem. Adds a blank eye and adds 2 new race menu sliders. Install the eyes will appear. Sliders to disable until race menu and SKSE are ported. So, like, those are ported. Is this the one you're talking about, Vengeful? Because it might have some problems based on this. Right. Right. This would be the... Because I'm... Without that, I'm wondering how it would detect, like, the new textures and stuff. Something tells me this isn't quite working the way you'd hope based on the LE functionality. That's an interesting idea. Have you used this recently on Special Edition? Thought they'd update it. Well, not yet. But you never know. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and squeeze every bit of performance I can out of the stream. Let's take these guys, close that. Not like having that open is going to do anything, but you never know. Oh, no worries at all. I mean, it's cool to know that it exists, because to me, it's just like, look at how many customization options we have for hair and stuff. Like, why shouldn't you be able to customize your eyes on an individual level, right? Like, make each one whatever color you want, or like what? Like, we have so many different eye textures that, like, it's just fun to, like, have them all in there and give you that kind of granular control. So I'd definitely be interested in adding it once they get that sorted, if it ever gets sorted. It makes me wonder if someone's not going to try and pick it up. Of course, permissions, willing, and all that. Vampirism still plan to use combo SMBCJ rebalance and sacrosanct. Yes, basically other token. Leaning more towards sacrosanct, I'd say, but that's like future functionality once we get past the initial port. Maybe Mike gives gold instead of resources without talking to the owner and paying them. Gives gold instead of resources without talking to the owner, paying them for the right to use it. What do you mean, Ring? We do have what's it called, the SV mod that makes it where you have to pay to use a crafting station. So in that sense, you could like make the wood chopping block like a crafting station in that way. You know, you pay for the usage of it and then you get to use it and get whatever wood. It's just wonky. I think there's a million ways to do it. It's just like, I think Sacroletius' way is solid because it's like, it's reasonable to me that the people, like the mill owner, the people whose wood it is, like, they don't want you to go and use their wood, right? Like, it's their wood. But if you bring your own wood to the wood chopping block, like, you can do it. Or just, like, I don't know. Like, let people just chop it wherever, I guess. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like we get bogged down in the intricacies of it. And it's just perhaps better to look at what the point of the mechanic is in general, zoom out, and then make that point, like, more straightforward. Alidothacil. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I'm going to call you Alid for short. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Silver Myth. I have no issue trying to see if it works. City mods, have you tried adding occlusion planes to increase performance? If I were ever building out my own city mods, I would absolutely do that, Sacroletius. I've not really gotten to that point where I'm like mashing together kind of cities and stuff like you do. I'd say you're probably one of the preeminent, if not the preeminent expert in that. But I will make sure I do that. I do like occlusion planes a whole lot, and I'm all about the performance, I will jam them in there. Looking, I know I got some other good ones in here. Skyrim, Temple Gardens, Dawn of Skyrim. A lot of these we shouldn't throw in here. Halls of Great High Hrothgar. We can just, and this might be fun actually. It's been a while since I just kind of like walked around with like the super high graphics or whatever. But these are gonna be odd. Nordic Snow, of course. Terrain LOD redone. I don't know if we use this one actually. I need to go and look on the other one. At the end of the day, players exploit it if they want. If you give at least players the option to roleplay it, it's better than nothing. See, I'd rather force people to do it. You know what I mean? Like, just like remove, like, I don't know. Removing exploits is worth doing to me. People will always find a way if they want to exploit it, but I still think that there's value in making that as difficult as possible. Just because, I don't know, if they find out that something works in an exploitative fashion and the game doesn't stop them from doing it, it's just kind of like they're just going to do it a lot of the time. Like, if there's anything I've learned, it's that players will, and I do this all the time as a player versus a designer, players will absolutely... oh, my cats are fighting. Be nice. Players will absolutely use exploits to the detriment of their own experience without really realizing what they're doing to the experience. A good example of that, I think, would be like, hey, Kandu, how you doing? Like the new Animal Crossing, right? So like a lot of us, when we were playing Animal Crossing, we used things like turnip exchange to, you know, make a shit ton of money really fast, which isn't even really an exploit, that one. It's like a soft exploit. It's just like, I don't think the developers imagined the links that people would go to create these kind of like side markets and, you know, make a bunch of money really fast. And I think a lot of players, myself included, found that when you had subverted the intended progression curve to that extent, it undermined a lot of the experience, and made it a little less, I don't know, like a little less engaging. When one of the things, I mean, like, money is not the main thing to do in Animal Crossing for most players, making money. But when you completely remove that element out of the typical game loop, because everyone's so rich that you never need money at all ever again, it actually does suck a lot of the life and the enjoyment out of a lot of the mechanics. And these are the kinds of things that will happen with exploits that you don't patch. People will use them either knowing that they're an exploit or knowing that they're not knowing that they are, rather, and end up having a worse time because of it. So, I don't know. That's it's just it's something I try to be mindful of. Yeah, like if what DM Harms is saying, if it exists, they'll use it. It's like natural kind of game theory where you locate the path of least resistance or the path of most efficiency, and then you use it. I mean, that in and of itself is part of the fun of games, right? It's like, especially in like sandbox games like this, or the kind of ones that I'm interested in, it's a matter of setting a goal for yourself and then making choices with the knowledge that you have as to how you're going to accomplish the goal. That's a big part of the fun. It's problem solving. Problem solving is fun. It's creative. It gives the player agency, and ideally players have a lot of different meaningful choices to juggle when determining how best to approach their goal, and a lot of the fun is inherent in that. The issue becomes when one option available is vastly superior to any other, and the advantage that it gives you is large enough that other elements of the progression curve are rendered not useless, what's the word, obsolete, I guess you would say. We'll end up kind of ruining our own experience, but we don't know that's what's happening. We're just playing the game, right? You assume that the game will only present you options that it intends for you to have, I guess is the baseline assumption. And when that's not the case, I tend to get a little squiggy, a little uncomfortable. About to design. Hell yeah. Gotta grab a pizza. Oh, I'm jealous, Brittany. Citing my account picture, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, just the best. Hell yeah. Oh, Silver Myth, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were asking me to test the eyes. I can do that. Here, let's fire it back up. Why not? We'll just pop it in there, see if it works. Heard there's cats. Subject exploit. Smelters have the option to loot infinite charcoal, which can be sold for 1 to 2 gold each. Yeah, see, that's a problem. You could say changing time in your Switch for AC. Absolutely. Now, changing time on Animal Crossing is slightly different because that is very clearly not supposed to be part of the game, and there's not really a reasonable patch for that because it's related to the functionality of the game system, and you need to be able to change the time on your Switch. So, to me, if someone is time traveling, then it's kind of a different beast. It is absolutely an exploit, and it's one that can ruin players' experiences for themselves. But it's not one that you can reasonably patch as a developer, so I think it's fair to kind of just be like, well, in that case, like, chalk it up to, you know, the players are going to do what they're going to do. And some people actually do enjoy time traveling. It's one of those debates where, like, you know, a lot of, like, as we grow up, we have less and less time to do stuff and whatever. If you enjoy time traveling, like, go nuts. Have fun with it. I think it's actually kind of cool because it's an example of an exploit that takes enough like extracurricular effort so as to de-incentivize itself. I mean, like for me, I don't really like time traveling. I like kind of sticking with the intended progression curve of the developer, which I know doesn't include time traveling. And because like time traveling, I have to pop out to the menu and like go into my settings and change the thingy and then jump back in. It feels like extracurricular enough to where I'm fully de-incentivized from doing it. Is that a word? De-incentivized? Whatever the opposite of incentivize is. But it is interesting because it's like, well, if I can exercise that level of self-control there, you can almost make the same argument for other exploits. It's always a fun debate. It's interesting. I remember where one of the times I really started thinking about that stuff was Stardew Valley. If you guys have played Stardew, I thought it did a really, really good job of balancing the various the methods of gathering and acquiring resources in that game. Stardew Valley to me is just it's a real masterclass in design. I think it's one of those games that shows you how what's a good way of putting this? How congruous a design can be when you really do have like one central figure who is like solo developing, who has a strong vision of how it should play, and who really cares about adding that level of detail to every different facet of the game's design. Like, to me, you play the game and it's evident by how you progress through the game how much attention was paid to every facet of the progression. It's not to say also you can't get that in, you know, a team development as well, as long as that team shares that core vision. I think that's the primary kicker, so to speak. Of course, that just becomes harder as a team grows because the more people you introduce, the more variance in thought and vision you might experience. And then, you know, not to mention the difficulty in managing when you have lots and lots of people. It's crazy. It's like, you know, the old expression of too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing, or just like project management. You would think perhaps that if you get 10 talented developers and stick them on a project versus one, you know, talented developer doing the same project, that having like the 10 would produce something higher quality or produce the same quality faster. And sometimes that's true, but oftentimes it's not. It's kind of crazy. Subject exploits. When you sell back turnips, it reduces the prices that day. Hey, you could. You're still going to get like a big payout there. What are you talking about? Sheath's 2 copies of Daedric Artifact. Anybody else seeing this? I'm going to exploit games. Anyway, made it solely the experience for majority of players indirectly. It's one of the biggest challenges of game design. Absolutely. Happens because gamers... Okay, Silver Myth, you're testing this. Did I download it? Well, we'll test it too. Why not? Throw it on there. Happens because gamers are focused on the result, not the process of getting the result, for sure. Sacrilegious made all wood piles lootable and made looting the wood count as stealing. I could still sell stolen wood. I have firewood to sell. Yep. Removed the dialogue line and made them vendors instead. Yeah, it's like you're selling someone's firewood back to them. That's another thing. So there's Dynamic Things does that too, where it makes not only just wood piles, but a lot of different like crates and other containers that should be lootable but aren't. It makes them lootable. Although you can make the argument that a crate shouldn't be lootable unless you break it open or something. But it's neither here nor there. Terrain LED redone. Do I have that one? Still terrain LED. I can't remember which of these is turned on. Yeah, that one's not on. That's what I thought. See, sometimes in my brain, these things they're somewhere in there, right? Because you also already have like an LOD. It's like darker texture. Yeah, darker distant LOD for ENB. There it is. It's all in there. More or less. Stardew, not sure I read all the time. So Vengeful, I'm guessing that the Overhaul thingy does not use the textures that you have installed through mods, because I don't know how it would. Disincentive. Speaking of time travel, US uses different time scale, just the vanilla one. It uses Requiem's puppet, which is 10. I would actually like to make it even slower, depending. I have a lot of interesting ideas, I think, about the passage of time within the game, but they're kind of complex, so I think for now we're going to be sticking with 10. Oh, Kandu, thank you for the tier 1 sub gift. Somehow I missed that. God, I'm so behind. I'm sorry. I just heard, you know what it was? Is I heard the Skyrim sound, like, subconsciously. Thank you for the cheer, positive comment guy. And I'm just so used to hearing that sound that somehow it just didn't even register for me as, like, a sub gift. Much appreciated, my friend. Management of many is the same as management of the few. It's a matter of dividing people into smaller groups and the division of responsibilities. That's totally true, Plot. You are also a management expert, as far as I'm concerned. Excuse me. So I'm speaking specifically in terms of when I say like you have 10 people, and it doesn't always make for a better product. I'm incorporating the idea that those 10 people are perhaps not being managed properly. I'm just trying to illustrate that you need to have good project management in order to squeeze the most out of those 10 theoretical dank developers, or 100 if you're like a AAA developer. All right. Blacksmith Forge water, old Holden ruins. Frankly, these aren't really gonna matter. This will be fine. Let's just jump in with this. These are mostly Soul Cairn. Immersive farms, palaces, and castles. These are not really, like, important. Alright, let's pop in and see what we got. Missing masters. Cool. No more worm's tooth. Okay, let's see what happens. You have 10, divide them into 2 groups of 5. I think I'm going to divide them into 1 group of 2, 1 group of 3, and then 1 group of 5. And then I'm not going to give any of them clear goals. And I'm going to get really mad at them if they don't deliver on exactly what I want them to do, but I'm not going to tell them what I want them to do. I'm not managing anyone, Ring. Not me. I mean, not the closest thing is working with all of you guys, but it's not. I don't manage you guys. Our work process is kind of collectivist, if you'll call it that. Yeah, well, so the reason I can even come up with that example of wonderful bossmanship is just watching my wife go through all of the work challenges. It seems, and I mean, I'm probably preaching to the choir here based on what you guys are saying. It seems like poor management is more common than good management. And God, like, how frustrating it must be. Like, my heart goes out to you. The only bosses that I've ever really had have been... there was one job that I had very unclear kind of goals and expectations, and it was very frustrating. So I had a small taste of that experience, not nearly as much as I think a lot of people seem to have. I've been lucky enough to have examples of like fantastic bosses, like I have one job in particular that I'm thinking of where my boss, she was like world class, honestly. I mean, she was the boss of a very kind of gnarly like company / like institution. So it's kind of, and she had been for a long time because of how effective she was. I think about that job sometimes when I use that as kind of like my internal example of how things likely should be. And then of course learning more about, you know, all the different management styles and things that there are. Good management is almost an oxymoron. Talk about Miko Reborn. What about Wolf Follower? I love watching the little pup growing. Oh, cute. Yeah, everyone is promoted to their level of incompetence. That's the Peter principle, right? Plot? Peter principle. Which makes a lot of sense to me. Liz and I talk about that a lot. Is like, you keep getting promoted because you're performing really well, right? And then eventually you get promoted into a position for which you are unsuited. And then everything goes to shit, right? It's kind of ironic that, like, I don't know. I think most what's the word? Promotion tracks end up placing people into a position of management versus maybe whatever jobs they had before, which is kind of crazy because managing and, you know, performing more like in the weeds or like technical roles or whatever you want to call it, depending on the job, like those are very different skill sets. And it's kind of funny that we have this sort of almost like societal assumption that someone who is a good employee or a good worker or who's very proficient with a certain, like, you know, like hands-on skill set, hands-on in a figurative sense, will make a good manager. Like, that's not always the case. Maybe sometimes it is, but definitely not always. Guys, look at this beautiful game. Alright, we ready? Bap. Oh, yeah. It's going to be laggy again. I just got to turn off the ENB. That's my B. ENB, my B. Skills you need to effectively manage are all over the place. Not very many people have such a varied experience. There's huge demand for managers, so someone has to fill that role. Yep, totally. I'm great at managing code, but I would totally suck at managing people. I can't even interact with people, never mind manage them. Absolutely. It's just, I think you're far from alone in that, Rangda. And it just kind of begs the question of, I guess I was going to say it begs the question of why we keep putting everyone in these manager roles, but then we just answered that one too, right? Like, as DM Harms just said, there's a huge demand for managers. Guys, give me a race and a name. Look, I'm all heterochromiad. Crush Orc. Got it. Thank you, Kane Do. And it's going to be a female, baby. Senior or poopy butts. That's a good one. Jimothy Brown. I don't know why I'm so partial to Jimothy. It's just such a funny... It probably just because of that scene in The Office where Michael's like, Jim, can I call you Jimothy? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Head. Let's change my eyes. Did I even turn on the Beef McMash? I like McMash more, even. I'm autistic, so management position is out of the question for me. I think the like, people on the autism spectrum are such a great example of exactly what we're talking about. It's like, talk about how you can be hyper effective even. Of course, like, you know, it's like person to person. But like, if you're hyper effective at like some certain element of your job, and then they want to put you into like a role where, like a manager role that relies entirely on like weird anamorphous like soft skills, it's just like, no, please. Like, can I not? It's like, it's not to say that, I don't know. Like, I think anyone can make a good manager if they can develop the skills that managers have. It's just like our baseline assumption that people have those skills, I guess, is weird. Especially like in light of specific examples where people don't. Hey, Rural, how you doing? Big McLarge huge. That's really good. It's fine. You just need, yeah, exactly. I've got autism. I was a manager for 4 years. Fine. You just need to learn, not fixate. Right. It's just like, it's a skill set, I suppose. Yeah, I'm high functioning. I'm not a people person. I feel you. Where's my eyes? Face? Oh, eyes. Okay. Eye color. Ooh. Boom. There it is. Let's get her a nice hairstyle. Hair is always my favorite. In case that wasn't obvious. Oh, she's like a really pretty orc. Look at that. I quite like this. I'm going with this. What was the name again? Crush? I'm gonna incorporate Mick Poopy Large Huge. There we go. That's our orc. Oh boy. I'm on the spectrum as well. You know, I would never go so far as to say that I am, because I would never say something like that without getting like an actual test. At the very least, I've always kind of wondered if I don't have ADHD, just because I've always kind of had trouble focusing. But it's hard for me to say, you know what I mean? Hey, look, here we are in the game again. I really wish I could show you with the ENB, especially since ENB light is so dank. I don't know why it's affecting the frame rate that way. But look, here we are. Here's our Immersive Laundry. And you can see that, like, this is... I mean, this is not a particularly intense area in terms of performance. But so I'm streaming right now. Now let's see if I turn on the ENB just for the sake of, you know, frame rate. So I turn on the ENB, and we're looking at kind of in between, like, 45 to 50 in this spot, right? It's going to be really laggy for you guys. I apologize. I'll just leave it on, like, a still frame. So you can see my frame rate. You know, I'm in the middle of streaming. I've got 2 windows open. And the performance is still pretty decent, right? This is in 1080p. So I really, and this is like basically as close to like the ultra preset, you know, as we can get at the time being. Performance is definitely something that I focus on, because I want everyone to be able to play. And that's why these performance profiles are going to be such like a big thing in the releases on SE, because, you know, I want you to be able to scale it up and down. Large software tech giant north of you, DP, for which I've worked past 17 years. It's IC and management. Difficulty is there are many people feel like you're not trying for promotion, staying in the same role for more than 18 months. You're not worthy of many positions. Right, like that's the thing that sucks, right? It's like this soft pressure that you should be looking to do, you know, whatever the next thing on the track is, when it's like, what if you're really, really good at the thing that you do now? And what if the company as a whole, even if you look at it pragmatically, is going to not benefit from like moving you into a different position that's higher up the track or whatever? It kind of makes you wonder if there shouldn't be some sort of like, I don't know, like pure meritocracy in terms of like determining people's income. Like if the only way that you can increase your income is to gain a new title and a new position, then of course people are going to gravitate towards that. But like I feel like that fucks stuff up a whole lot, you know? Imshale, I saw your question about what is different mechanically. So the SE port it's really, I'm trying to keep it to just like a port mechanically, at least for like the first beta builds, right? I just want to take most of what's on Legendary Edition in terms of mechanics and put it on Special Edition. So I'm really shying away from making any sort of large mechanical or like systems changes. You should be able to expect a very similar experience gameplay wise, with some slight differences and enhancements. A good example of that would be like, instead of Art of the Catch handling fishing, because Art of the Catch is not really available in Special Edition, we have hunting in Skyrim handling fishing with its own internal system, and we've added that mod as well because of its synergies with Hunterborn and whatever. So there's kind of like additional features and also like replacement features, but it's altogether not that different. Another good example would be like all the different population mods that we have running, right? Like there's a lot more characters in the world doing all different kinds of things, which mechanically is consistent with how Ultimate Skyrim LE behaves. It's just kind of that same mechanic implemented in a more, to a higher degree across the world. The larger scale mechanic changes will be in later versions because we're trying to keep things reasonably the same so that we're not, you know, putting all of our eggs in one basket or trying to do too much with just the initial versions. Even the idea of, like, you know, editing the NPC appearances, like, that's a new feature, but I'm only comfortable doing that because, one, it would actually be kind of like a pain in the ass to do it later, so I might as well do it now. It's kind of like my first philosophy. And two, it's almost entirely visual, so it's not like it actually impacts the game itself in any way that will require kind of testing and so on. A great PM on your team is worth their weight in gold. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, wait, well, I just missed something there that I want to read. I need to get more chat length. I have ADHD. Hold on. Little brother's autistic. You can look at him and just tell he is. He's higher functioning. Could have done so much with himself. My mom ruined it for him. Didn't let him go to college. Oh. Didn't let him go to college. Is that one of those, like, what was her reasoning for that, Rear Isle? Great PM. We will be keeping iEquip Kosumi, but not really for, like, the cyclers or anything. I'm going to be moving back to, like, hotkeys as a primary kind of means of control, hotkeys and improvements to the favorites menu, and that goes for both gamepad and keyboard. My reasoning for that is that I think cyclers are a clunky method of control as is. I went on kind of like a rant about this the other day in our internal chat. I think cyclers are really clunky. And the best implementation of a cycler I've ever seen is in the Souls series, right? And even that is not great. They managed to make it work because they have virtually zero latency on the cycler, and they restrict the amount of items within each cycler to a very low amount. It's about the only reason that those work. And neither that responsiveness or that cycler restriction are really possible on Skyrim, so I won't really be using those. I will be using a lot of the iEquip, like, UI features probably, and then also things like, you know, the quick buttons will still be there. So all the really cool stuff, but not the cyclers. I think that'll make for a much better control experience. I have ADHD, wouldn't be surprised if you did. Certain speech patterns and expression patterns that are very ADHD, not exclusively, but still. I feel you, Milquetoast. Do I exhibit any of those patterns? The company has promoted this sense of value internally. Also, much of it is based on culture at the individual level. Oh, yeah. I mean, that, JS Brando, that matches, I feel like, kind of our work culture at large. And also, like, internally, I mean, I've said it a million times, not exactly a hot take, but, you know, like, the company sets the culture, and it's like from the top down. And I mean, if this is how if there's all these, like, silos and these, like, tracks for people to get promoted in this exact way, like, people will, that's what it's going to be like, you know what I mean? Like, you would have to make a dedicated effort at the company level to change that. It doesn't help that compensation is usually related to hierarchy rather than merit. Absolutely. It's like the higher up you are, the more money you make. In our society, for better or for worse, like, the biggest and most important incentive you have is how much money you make, because it's not like any of us are going to these jobs for the fun of it in a lot of cases. Like, great if you are, but, you know, the people who get to work on stuff that they like, or generally like, is probably the minority, and I consider myself very lucky in that I kind of get to do something like that. But it's like most of us who are working are trading our time for money, right? And then trying to use the rest of the time we have available to do the stuff that we enjoy. So if you recognize that as the reality, then, like, how much money you're making and how that's determined becomes, like, the most important factor. It's like when you go into an interview and people are like, you know, like, why do you want this job? And it's like, because I need to pay rent. You know what I mean? Like, there can be other reasons, but the idea of someone be penalized for telling that very obvious truth has already always bothered me. Yeah, first SE Old Sky release would be this year. I'd say this year for sure, Baron. I mean, I probably shouldn't say definitively. Anything I say should be taken with a grain of salt, but I'm working as fast as I can, and, like, I think it should be out within the year at least. That's my goal anyway, but I won't say definitively. Totally read that as a great prime minister. Hell yeah. I mean, a prime minister is kind of like a project manager, are they not? Empty nest syndrome. Ugh. Still lives with them. He doesn't need to. That stinks. If they're not letting him move out, or, like, discouraging him from moving out because they don't want to be alone, oof, that's rough. That's not fair. fixing some NPCs in the CK earlier, but I dislike doing it. I'd rather be nav meshing. Nav meshing does seem like fun, weirdly. I'm actually kind of excited to get into that now that I've been digging into the CK. Sacroletis and I was messing with NPC stuff, and I like encountered this weirdness that I had never experienced and was trying to figure out like a solution to it. So Sacroletis and I were kind of like mashing our heads together trying to fix it. And it just kind of reminded me, like, so like that doesn't, excuse me, more often than not nowadays, when I'm in Xedit, which is primarily what I use for what I do, I've been doing it for long enough that very rarely does something come up that it just really throws me for a loop, that it just really goes, like, makes me think that I have no idea what's happening here, right? Like something's not working the way it's supposed to or whatever. That used to happen all the time when I was first learning how to use Xedit. You know, I'd try and execute a certain change and it wouldn't work, or I'd hop in game and like it wasn't quite behaving the way it was supposed to, and I was genuinely like, what is happening here? Like, why is it not working? I didn't have the understanding yet to figure out why, right? It's just the natural progression of like getting used to a tool. And I kind of forgot that, like, it's just been so long since I had that experience. It's kind of fun. It can be fun if you don't have like a super gnarly deadline, right? Like if you have a crazy deadline and you're trying to get something working and it's not working, that's not so fun. But in this case, it was kind of fun to like problem solve and like, you know, find the mystery and figure out what the issue was. And I kind of miss that feeling. So I'm somewhat looking forward to, you know, sharpening my teeth on the creation kit, which I'm not nearly as familiar with. I think there's going to be many instances like that where when I'm using the creation kit, I'm going to be trying to do something and it's just not going to work and I'm not going to know why. And I'll get to figure out kind of why that is. Problem solving. You guys talking about iEquip, like the concept is generally one of the least responsive mods I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, it's very ambitious in Shale. Like with the cyclers, it tries to do a lot, and it tries to do like multiple different types of inputs, like per cycler button and things like that. So I won't be using... Responsiveness to me is huge. I'm really going to be focusing not only on the... I think we did a good job with the UI. I think it was very visually communicative and set up in a decent way, and so I'll be using that on SE and, you know, making small changes, but generally keeping it the same probably. Or at least if I make changes, they will be in line with the changes that I made when creating the original UI. But as far as usability, I'm really focusing hard this time on responsiveness. There were a lot of ideas I think we tried with Legendary Edition that sounded good on paper, but because we couldn't quite achieve the level of responsiveness necessary to make them work properly, it just ended up kind of being a failed experiment. But of course, that's how we improve, right? Is we try stuff out and then see if it works, see what doesn't work, and then iterate. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm really excited about it too. As someone who is very interested in like UX, creating a good control experience that is tailored around, you know, the type of game that Skyrim is, I think is a very enjoyable challenge personally. Breaks my heart real out. I got some genetic issues and manifested physically because my appearance was treated like special needs in school pretty often. I'm so sorry, man. That is like... I can only imagine how frustrating that must be. And yeah, that Rear Owl's example does seem like a parallel. There's a mod set that removes things that don't make much sense particle-wise. Apparently messages were removed. Oh, I think I have this, actually. Remove distracting things. It's in my download pile. The trifecta: autism, bipolar, and ADHD. Thank you for the donation, Kane Do. Oh, that's very sweet of you to say. I'm grateful for you guys supporting the project. Really am. ADHD. Yeah, that is a... autism, bipolar, and ADHD is quite the combo. Bit of a challenge to deal with them working together against you. Yeah, and it's... I think it's getting better, but it's like societal understanding of these kinds of like challenges. I mean, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but it's like it's not exactly advanced, right? And then you end up like just, I don't know, like people just tend to push back against the stuff that they don't understand for one reason or another. And I feel like it ends up creating this like double jeopardy in which, like, so you suffer from, or let's say you're affected by these challenges, right? And one, society is not built with these challenges in mind, so there's a challenge or there's a sticking point there, and 2, like, people kind of discriminate against you, like, for the, you know, kind of your own, like, how you are, and so you're kind of being pincered. It's like a double-edged, they're not a double-edged sword at all. It's an attack from 2 directions, I guess you could say, and it just sucks. It's like there's so many examples of that. I feel like where like institutions are built to serve the majority, and like while that it makes a certain amount of sense, I feel like an institution also needs to be very understanding of the individuals who don't fit within the framework the same way that the majority do. And when that doesn't happen, not only are the minority who the system doesn't really account for, like, not only are they underserved, but also they're also the ones who become responsible for explaining to the majority why the system doesn't serve them. And of course the majority is sitting there going, well, it works for me, like, I don't know what, like, why you have to put up such a stink. And it's just like, oh god. And I feel like you see it in all different kinds. And I mean, of course it's getting better, I think, as a society in all the different expressions of what I'm talking about, but like, I don't know, it has to be frustrating. I don't know. Oh, I totally feel that. Can do DM harms. Yeah, Praxis. Just like the idea of MMOs, like online scenarios, kind of being like an escape from that, because like online, we're all kind of on the same playing field. There is something to be said for that. In fact, you could probably argue that's a big reason why online technologies, excuse me, are so ubiquitous, or why they were so interesting to us as a society. I imagine that there are many people who, I mean, it's like reality. There's so many people for whom like the systems in place are not really suitable, and they kind of inadvertently find a place where they can be served through like online technologies that kind of like equalize the playing field and don't subject them to some of the same discriminations that, like, you know, real life does, I guess. Brittany, I've returned. Sounds like we're in serious talk mode. Of sorts. Ultimate SE next week confirmed. God, how far behind am I in chat? Yikes. Set off my ADHD DAR a bit. Okay, well, maybe. Even if it's also a spectrum thingy, if you're managing your life well, and it doesn't really matter either way. I say I do okay. I'm definitely not... I wouldn't use myself as an example or like a role model for anyone. You could ask my wife would tell you that. We're like... I don't know. Managing my own stuff has always been kind of a challenge for me. I'm not particular, like, the idea of project management in general is something that is still a brand new concept for me that I'm trying to get on top of. Scheduling, you know, like my work days as someone who kind of like is my own boss, so to speak, has always been really tough for me, just because I've never really done it before. I've never really been, before this, I'd never been in a position where I was my own boss, you know what I mean? So I definitely never really built the skills for that. And I was never like I think I've said this in other streams, I was never like a fantastic student all throughout my education history. I was okay, but I had a lot of good friends who I was able to lean on for things like organization. And I mean, I'm grateful for that. And also, like, what goes around comes around, you know what I mean? Like, because I didn't develop those skills myself, and because I'm now in a situation where I require those skills, it is a struggle, and it's something that I kind of have to work with every day to improve, because like my natural inclination is not organized at all. Like, I will go down massive rabbit holes and spend a bunch of time on things that might not be the most prudent, I guess, but like to me they feel prudent, or like they just catch my interest and I just, you know, run with it. I have a really hard time managing, like, if you look at all the kind of the pips that you need to include in what you might call like a well-adjusted or healthy routine or like lifestyle, my ability to hit each target is very variable. Sometimes I do okay, and a lot of the other times I don't. And that definitely, like, I'm a very anxious person. I don't know if this kind of stuff comes across like in the streams. I feel like sometimes yes, sometimes no. And a lot of it is also my own kind of projections. I know that. It's like, you know, I think sometimes I either consciously or unconsciously don't showcase some of my more anxious tendencies or things like that, just because, I mean, on the one hand, I don't like to burden other people with it, but also I think on a deeper level, it's just that natural human fear of vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like it makes me, like as an anxious person, control is a huge kind of like subroutine that is always going on in my head. And by projecting a certain appearance, it's kind of like a means of exerting control over like other people's perception of you. So I feel like that's what it's almost kind of like a codependency thing. But I definitely would not classify myself as on top of my project management. I would say that it's gotten better. Project management or just organization, we'll say. I will say that it's gotten better. You know, I've tried to work very hard with my own personal therapist and in my personal life to address some of these things, and I definitely don't do it 100% a lot of the time. That's an understatement, but I do think it's gotten better, and that kind of gives me hope that as long as we stick with it, you know, and just try our best, that we can really just bring ourselves closer to whatever our target is. You know what I mean? And oftentimes the experience, that journey of doing that is worthwhile in and of itself in a weird way. Really want to get into making patches for open cities. No clue where to start. Yeah, it's a rough one. There's a script. I can show you where to start. Let me see here. Alt Sky Dev be my utilities. I believe in no. Downloaded scripts. Exit patch script. No. Oh, here we go. Hishy Open Cities Converter. That's what I was looking for. Open Cities Converter. So this right here is a very solid place to start for converting things for open cities, just because it'll help you bring stuff out of the individualized cells and into the larger Skyrim world space. There are, I'm sure, like other kind of individual things that will require attention, but I do think it's a good place to start. Don't need my management harassing me. I'm happy being IC, not wanting to get promotions. If I choose to stay a level longer than others, I love the work I do. Doesn't that make for a better? It does make for a better work environment. And also, like, once again, just even outside the personal level, pragmatically as a company, like, why wouldn't they want you in the position where you are, one, happiest, two, most effective, right? And then also, like, why do you need to get out of that position in order to get paid, like, more? That's the thing where it's like, there has to be some sort of, like, meritocracy based system for this that like we can come up with, or something, you know. Imshale, the UI is perfect, honestly. Thank you. I really tried hard with the UI, and it's interesting to me, as you guys might be able to tell, and I think this is true for most modders or whatever. There are certain elements of the experience that are like especially interesting to me, right? It's frustrating, JS Brando, like the ability to switch it all off. That's actually something that I did want to add, where I just essentially wanted to put all of the UI elements on the Sky UI like widget control, and then just like essentially like instead of even, I mean, having like the immersive HUD elements like auto fading, things like that, like that's all cool, like the contextual UI, I guess. But to me, I'd almost rather have it like there's just, I'll make one of the buttons the UI button, right? So it's like, and you just have complete control over when it appears and when it doesn't. It's like if you're in a town, or if you're in a non-threatening situation or whatever, you have it off, and then if you need it, you just tap it and turn it back on. That might be how I try to do it on SE. Pay should be in accordance with merit, demand for the particular skills. Totally. Shitty PM asking why the project is behind after they schedule 20 hours of meetings a week just pisses me off so much. Oh yeah. It's like, why aren't things not progressing? It's like, I don't know, maybe because you are having me in meetings and I'm spending half of the work time that I have available not doing anything because you have me in these meetings. Sleepwalking, night terrors, and insomnia. Jesus. So it's like, whether you're asleep or you're awake, it's like you're either kept awake by insomnia, or if you do manage to get to sleep, you'll have night terrors and or sleepwalking. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's rough, dude. Or person. I don't know if you're a dude. We want to work anywhere else in the world. I feel you. I mean, it's tricky. without, it's like if there's a lot of, like, no work situation, no anything is perfect, right? Like in life, there's always compromises of one sort or another. And if it's something mostly works for you, there's a strong argument to be made that you're in an okay spot. I guess if you have reasonable expectation that there's a better thing on the horizon that you can reasonably kind of find that fits more of the important criteria for you, then I guess that's why people switch. But, you know, I don't know. It's a tough call to make. It's for each of us to do. Refuse to take meds for it, and I manage pretty well. That power to you. Whoopsie. I'm just gonna catch up with. Oh my god. All right. I'm gonna catch up with chat real fast, and I promise I'll actually play the game. Although I will say this: these streams are. I do like connecting with you guys in these streams. That's kind of the purpose of these streams for me. To be honest, there's not that much interesting stuff to show off. It might be interesting to you guys, but it's like I'm just cranking away on the features. You know, like I showed you the NPCs. That's largely what I was working on this week. What's up, guys? Oh god. Don't attack me. So I don't know, hopefully that these kinds of conversations that we have are still solid content for you. Let me see. Scrolling. Any news about 4.0.7 US? Sure, Cisco. We're just kind of like tallying up some of the last things that we can get in there. Most of it's done already. I just, I'm still working on the SE stuff at the moment. It's kind of where my brain's at, and I'll just need to kind of sit down and then do the release work of like actually getting it out. But it's mostly done. And I don't leave home very much anyway, so it's not as much of a big deal for me. I try to go about my day. Dropped out of high school. Cursed bullies, man. I'm sorry about that, Silver. Not just students, though. I had to deal with teachers. Well, yeah, I mean, teachers are part of the institution. In the best case scenario, you have teachers who are very understanding and empathetic and sympathetic to your situation. You guys are able to work together to, create the best possible experience. And in other situations, that is absolutely not the case. Like, I've had... I've not gone into tremendous detail. My school experience definitely was variable in terms of, we'll call it the challenges it produced, which is most people, I suppose. But I mean, I definitely had teachers who, let's just say, were not. Frankly, were the more I think about it as I get older, you know how like when you're a kid, things happen to you and you don't really know why, and you're just like, oh, I guess this is just how things are, like how the world works. And then as you get older, you kind of look back and you have more of a point of reference now for what's appropriate and how children should be treated and whatever. And you go, whoa, that actually wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Like, I've definitely had moments like that. Faking it to become it. Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's the tricky part too, right? Is fake it till you make it. There is a certain degree of truth and wisdom in that where, like, we just try our best to hit it until we do. But then there's also that side thing of like, well, you can fake it to an unhealthy degree too, where it's just like for me personally, it always becomes like if I'm suffering from this problem or this emotion or whatever, for me, the coping mechanism was always to kind of like put blinders on and be like, no, like I'm fine. Like everything's great, as though, that's just like whatever it was just going to go away. Like, no, that's not how it works. Or at least not for me personally, and I think for most people. In therapy, one of the most powerful concepts I feel like that I learned is to at least acknowledge the whole. And what I mean by that is that like it's perfectly fine and not a paradox at all to have something be both cool in some ways and also hard or like, troubling in other ways. Take like quarantine, for example, right? Like quarantine really, really sucks and is a really tough challenge like for all of us. And like there's also parts that are like, the idea of like living through something like this as a society and kind of being made aware of certain things that have a spotlight shown on them and kind of adapting to the challenge. Like you could argue that in some ways we are all going to be kind of cumulatively stronger, have certain coping skills or strength, resilience maybe, that we didn't have before. So like that's cool. But also the quarantine sucks. You know what I mean? Like it sucks not being able to see people or for people who have trouble maintaining a sense of normalcy, like having even more difficulty in those spheres. Like that's really, really hard. And I think it's tempting to be like, or at least this is how I operate a lot, is like things are either absolutely great and like forget about all that shitty stuff, like I'm focusing on the good, or it's like everything's absolutely terrible and like I don't believe there's any good, like you're showing me these good things, like I see it, but like nah, like everything sucks. It's like hyper, or it's you're always on one side of the spectrum to an extreme extent. I feel like a big thing for me has been just kind of trying to acknowledge the space in between and the gray, you know. Connor had Subway for lunch. Dude, I haven't had Subway since Nom. I do like Subway, actually. It's the best home for a warrior type, in people's opinions. I mean, dude, honestly, the Companions is pretty good. You think there's some time to do a small showcase the mod Wolf Follower for those that don't have someone to bite some bandits? Sure. Let's see, converting things that have their own world space into the overworld. Rear aisle. Well, that is like, can you give me an example? Because that obviously is a bit more complex. Then what you get to do is just straight up like almost like recreating whatever the content is, but in the overworld. So depending on what kind of content you're talking about, it could be all different kinds of things. Like, you know, like a settlement, for example, you get to like set up the new AI packages and the nav meshing and then import all the assets into the new world space that you're trying to do. What is this? Wolf Follower, Skyrim, SE, SSE. Is this the one? Sticks the Spectral Wolf. Uploaded by Bro Duel. Oh, no, it was a video. Wolf Follower, Dynamic Pet. Oh, Hunger. This has got to be it, right? Am I wrong? As a new wolf companion company unit. It starts as a puppy, grows up over time. Aww. Okay, this is very cute. I am gonna so what I do, I've mentioned this in other streams, I typically, if something catches my interest, I download it. And that way it's in my pile. Yeah. My pile o mods. It's kind of like how I keep track. Why can I, there we go. Except for it's still not letting me see it. Whatever, I know it'll go in there. Vulnerability is something you have to open up to move forward. Brene Brown on YouTube is really good at getting the heart. Oh yeah, Brene Brown, I'm a big fan. Liz as well. She's so cool, Brene Brown. If you guys don't know Brene Brown, I would definitely follow her on Instagram or on YouTube. Give me some time, small showcase, seen the script, da-da-da-da-da. Real Subway, Metro, Underground. Love your dark mode Google search. Oh yeah, I recommend this mod or extension. This mod, wow. Oh god, my brain is really turning to mush. So I use this extension called Dark Reader, which does its best to kind of force dark mode on anything on your browser, right? It doesn't always work. Like some website designs just don't, like it will be in dark mode, but you'll actually kind of like lose functionality because there's certain elements that can't be color changed and stuff like that. But you can always turn it off with just by hitting, I think my shortcut's Control L. But it's really cool. Like most of the time it does really well, and if you kind of encounter a website that's behaving kind of wonkily, you can just turn it off very easily. Mine is always on food. Hell yeah, Connor. What better thing to think about? Really like that idea. Contextual auto hide is nice too. Possibly make long and enjoyable playthrough without knowing shit about manual conflict resolution. Save 200 mods. Danila, it can be. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. And if something's not working properly, but it's not, you know, there's no indication in game that it's not working properly, then the answer could be yes. But if you have 200 mods, there is a very, very strong, and of course it depends on the mods, but there's a very strong likelihood that there are conflicts. And conflict resolution it's pretty easy. It's just kind of like dragging things. The easy part, I guess, is, you know, just kind of forwarding stuff to your patch. The hard part is knowing what should be forwarded and what shouldn't. It's kind of your call. You know what I mean? More that I can't sleep till I literally crash, and I have a high chance of having a night terror and actively trying to run away from it. I mean, bruising from running in a wall. Dude, that is brutal because sleep is so essential to our well-being. Like the most essential thing. I've been reading a book, I think I mentioned, called Why We Sleep. That's really, really cool. It's this one. It's very interesting. strongly recommend it. This man, Matthew Walker, PhD, is kind of the preeminent sleep scientist in the world. And sleep is a really interesting area of study because it's so mysterious still, like compared to a lot of other disciplines. We don't know that much about sleep. And what we do know is fascinating, honestly. I would recommend this book to anybody. And this book was recommended to us by Liz's current boss. Good takeaway is that you should be getting, if possible, get 8 hours of sleep. Also, I'm talking about sleep, and it's making me want to take a nap. And it varies person to person. I think some people can get, like for me, if I'm uninterrupted, I will probably sleep for 9 hours. I probably could sleep any more. My problem is like getting restful sleep. I seem to have part of an issue with, some kind of issue with, but I don't want to complain because as we can see here, like Vengeful Sparrow, is the ability to sleep at all is like a luxury for most of us that some of us don't have. Curiosity is going to be something set up for unarmed builds. Hell yes. Once again, not in the initial build, but I am like, so Nox Crab, our boy Nox, who edits a lot of Requiem stuff and adds features, has some unarmed things. Also, just with perk overhauls that we're looking at, there's a lot more stuff with unarmed. But I've always been a big fan of like monks, right, or like martial artists and whatever. And I would love to add not only like unarmed builds, but also even like claw builds and like some, you know, maybe like fist weapon builds. Hey, Miami Knights, how you doing? You miss same old, you know how it goes. Just us talking about everything. Skyrim and elsewise. Create my own mod list for the first few times I mod before looking at guides. Oh yeah. As you age, you see what they wanted from you. Notice they didn't go about it the right way. I'm realizing that I'm like, so I know what you guys are referencing as I read these. Like that's the teacher comment. That's also nice of you to say, Silver. It's like you see that, you know, at least in the best case scenario, like the teachers are trying to do something positive, but maybe not quite nailing the execution. I mean, we're all human, right? We do the best we can, ideally. Integrate mods. You have to read the mod pages, not what doesn't work, and move from there. Adding things that are known compatible. Grew up with undiagnosed ADHD, had some pretty unhealthy interactions growing up that did not click until I was much older, so I can definitely empathize. DP, you keep up with the good talks that are useful and fun for all of us stuck at home without human interaction, like normal life from 6 months ago. Well, I feel you, JS. I'm glad you feel that way, because evidently I feel the same way, you know? Careful with mod choices. Got called out of the blue, come back to work yesterday, so I'm going back on Sunday. Almost, that's crazy. I don't want to, you know, if you don't want to share what you do, DM, then feel free not to. I'm curious as to what you do that they're calling you back in for now. Currently a society of bedwetters and crybabies. It could be. I haven't wet my bed in a long time, you know, but I mean, hey, never say never. Could be good. Man, I want Subway. I work at Best Buy. Oh, hell yeah. Well, as long as you guys are executing, you know, safety protocols, which I imagine may be the case, but like Best Buys and stuff are still open, like for general traffic. Also, yes, dude, coworkers really make any job where like you can even have like a not so great job. You have good coworkers who you like and enjoy working with, like it makes such a difference. I've seen that too in like, I mean, that's been my own experience, and also like watching Liz. Like I've seen her work jobs, you know, or like my wife has a very, like what she does is pretty high level stuff, and so you really get like very interesting personality types, especially like in the tech space, which is where she's been working for like the past few years. And I've seen the impact that it has on her, like having good coworkers versus having like super shitty coworkers, and it makes sense. We're humans are social beings in a sense. Even if our methods of socializing are not always like in person or whatever, I think that you just kind of naturally try and connect with the people around you, and when that's hard to do, or when the people around you are problematic, it just really can impact you. My brother worked at Best Buy. Last store I worked at, he was fired for BS reason. I got blacklisted from the store. That sucks. I hate negative people. Even this quarantine, I just looked at it like school, summer vacation. I'm enjoying as a 31-year-old. Yeah, so like we're talking about that. I think that there are elements of it that are kind of like vacation-y, right? Like things that are enjoyable, like and some people have more downtime to engage with hobbies that they normally don't have the time to engage with. It's like that stuff's cool, but I think it's also important to acknowledge, for the people who feel this way, the parts that are not as cool. Like for me, we love to visit with friends. We love to just go places and do things. We can't really do that now. For me personally, like I like going to the gym for my workouts, right? And kind of having that experience, and like that's something we can't do. Even just like anything you do outside kind of carries with it like this risk that just was not there before. And like I live in LA where we're kind of a hot spot for coronavirus, and it's just like those parts are no bueno. And I mean, I do think there's good parts too. I just think that we owe it to ourselves to kind of look at the whole of it. Run that script, walkway into Solitude. It didn't work. I don't know where to start to learn. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. Holds is complex, rear aisle. I wouldn't be able to tell you, to be honest. It's one of those things where you just got to like trial and error it, I guess. See what works, what doesn't. Whatever doesn't work with the script, you just kind of like start to do manually. Like anything that's built out in a world space, you can theoretically build out yourself in the Tamriel world space, I think. It's just much more manual work. You can add custom textures. There's a mod recommendation. Blah, 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 blah. He also ate McDonald's for a month? And his health markers are more than fine. He's still trained. So I might be in the minority here. I actually really like McDonald's. I think it's, it's good for what it is. Like, I don't expect it to be nutritious food, but like, I do like McDonald's. I kind of like fast food in general, to be honest with you. Bump, 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 bump. Eventually, you can make the chat dark. Ain't no worries. Dream 2. Give you more deep sleep. Comes with CBT programs built in. That's awesome. What the hell? What is that? I'm going to look it up. What a Skyrim stream we have going here, guys. I have teas and stuff I drink that are a huge help. Not super bad. Some days they're shitty. There's like Kenshi's martial arts skill. It's crazy and it's in a good way. Hell yeah. Hey CT, how you doing? Connor, one of these days I'm going to find the time to play Kenshi. If you live with her going on holiday and driving you at the wall because yours was canceled. Oh yeah. Or even just like, dude, like, oh my god, this is on a more serious note. Like anyone who's trapped at home in a living situation that is actually unhealthy or unsafe, like that's just terrifying to me. Like I feel so lucky, so lucky that during quarantine I have Liz to be here with me. I mean, I tell her that all the time, or we talk about it. Like, I can't imagine what this would be like if I didn't have her. But also, like, if you were with someone, like if you were alone, I feel like it would be really, really hard. But it'd be so much harder even if you were with like people who you don't like, or if you're trapped at home with like abusive parents or something, or like an abusive partner. Like, ugh, like I just can't even imagine it. You know what I mean? More focus on the cat in the back. Oh yeah, we actually have two. In fact, here. So this is Q. She's my princess. She's the cat that I've had for the longest. Over there, that's Reggie. He is the softest cat known to man. He's literally like a rabbit. If you've ever felt like a rabbit's fur, and it's just like super wispy and soft, it's wild. Scary part is the long-term consequences of COVID, working and just setting up a home gym. Oh, totally. Like the idea that we don't know what the long-term consequences will be is a very frightening thought. And it's just something I think that we really need to take into consideration, especially when people are like, well, I mean, don't even get me started on like COVID deniers and stuff. But I think one particularly damaging element, or kind of, we'll call it one damaging element, I'll just say, is the way that people tend to, it's like, oh, well, the death rate is only 1% or something. And it's like, well, a death rate of 1%, that's very high. If you look at like, the population of the US and population of areas within. And two, for every person that actually dies from COVID, there's a whole lot of other people who are experiencing other complications, who get hospitalized, who have issues, who may continue to have issues into the rest of their life. We don't really know how that's going to work. And so it just feels like disingenuous. I shouldn't say disingenuous to make that argument, because I really do think that a lot of people don't know that, like, they're not making that argument to be disingenuous. They just either haven't thought about the other circumstances or haven't been made aware of it. You know what I mean? So we're always kind of combating misinformation. That's a big thing here in the U.S. Transparent and refracting icicle. Ooh. A library, do you give it a launch? I haven't seen my boyfriend in person since early March. I'm really sorry. Jeez, CT. Fuck. I'm sorry. And I'm trapped at home with a conspiracy theorist. Jeez, Mika. Guys, my heart goes out to you. How do the introductions of Inigo and Lucian work in US? All the changes it makes to the base game? I was wondering. I can't really tell you, Miami Nights, because I haven't done their introductions. I don't know how they go. What, did my internet fail? It depends. Like, do they take you? Do you have to fight certain enemy types that might be way harder in Requiem or something? Been alone in my house for 3 years now since my kids moved out, working from home the whole time. Isolation. Oh, I think Nexus is down. For a second, anyway. Isolation takes time to get used to, honestly. Longer than 4 months, most have been stuck at home. Oh, yeah. We're all, like, all coping, learning, right? I have YouTube channels. I'm alone every other week while my daughter's at her dad's, so I usually watch Skyrim Let's Plays, use streams, have someone there, at least in the background, and I can laugh at occasionally. I feel you, Brittany. And I think that's true for a lot of us, too. Like, you know, podcasts or Let's Plays. Like, Game Grumps is a big one for me. If you guys don't watch the Game Grumps, I strongly recommend them. Oni Plays are big. I'm a big fan of. It's just, it's that human connection element, you know? It's that, have you guys ever seen that meme where it's like eating cereal podcast meme? Nah, shit. Oh wait, no, like, fuck, I can't. It's not cereal. Maybe it's like yogurt. Yeah, how it feels to listen to podcasts. Here it is. I love this so much. It's just like, we're totally friends with these people. They have no idea who you are, but it feels that way. You know what I mean? It's nice. I think it's. And I mean, how many times have you been on like your favorite Let's Play channel or podcast or whatever? You see some comment that's like, just want to say thank you for, you know, producing this content. Like, I can't tell you, you know, how nice it's been. It's really like helped get me through some difficult times, or just kind of like been there for me. I've gotten comments like that, which is always the most humbling thing, because to me, you know, in my mind, I'm still a very, very small content creator who's just kind of, you know, over here comparatively, where, you know, these people who make the content that I like, and, you know, these people that I respect so much are here in my mind. DP, my man, you need to switch from Chrome to the new Edge browser. Edge is still based on Chromium, resolved most of the memory and resource issues Chrome is exposed to over time. I've really been looking at it, JS. It looks really cool. I'm like, as long as it can retain like the functionality that I use or have with Chrome, I would be happy to do it, because I'm really tired of Chrome soaking up all that memory. I'll keep these pages open just so we can see it. Also, did I get that? Did it download? Okay, no, yes, no, it didn't. Growing up, oh no, it did. God, sometimes the file names are so strange. So I haven't talked to you in years, sent me a letter about how I affected their life so strong. It was the weirdest thing ever. I can imagine how streamers feel. It's weird when you realize you actually have affected someone. Totally. Oh, CT uses Firefox. That I feel like is... Oh, Praxis, I missed that somehow. But yeah, DM, I feel you. It's a weird thing. It's really cool. For me, I think it's sometimes I worry, because, like, you know, and I'm sure this is true for like all of us, but we're so critical to ourselves, right? Like, everyone's their own worst critic and all that. And like the idea that someone would, like, I don't know, hinge themselves on any of the stuff that I do, I'm just like, oh no, like, I'm gonna let them down, you know, or that kind of worry. But that's just like the self-defeating part. That's like anxiety and stuff like that talking. I think the thing to do, or maybe once again in the interest of like acknowledging the whole, I'm sure there's that element, but also, like, I'll be honest, it's a really special feeling just knowing that you are helping someone in some way, like in the world. I think that most of us want to, in our lives, leave the world in a better state than it was when we entered it. You know, for people, just kind of creating as much happiness, contentedness, satisfaction for us as a whole. And so thinking that you're contributing to that in some way is a really special feeling. It's something I'm very grateful for. Just watching your Wraithen playthrough and comment on the Soul Slime stream. You went to sleep, ended up on the complete other side of Soul Slime because of Mirak. You're now still laughing. That was I really did not anticipate that happening, Brittany. That was a fun moment for me too, just because I forgot. I completely forgot. I kind of had in my head how this was going to play out, and needless to say, it was very different. All right, you guys want to actually look at some Skyrim gameplay? How about that? 222. So this is some dank graphics gameplay. Set game hour to 30. That's not even an hour. Noon. Ooh, wow. Look at that. Now this is without the ENB. I'll turn the ENB on just so you guys can kind of see like a screenshot, because the lag does not seem to work. Let's see if we can figure out why. You know what? Here, I want to do a quick test real fast. We'll make a save. Who's this person? What you doing? Hello? Uh-oh. Doesn't look friendly. Failing to cast spells, too. We have some sort of amateur mage here who's just shit in the bed. Jukar's monument discovered. Are you Jukar? Oh, I picked up a sword. Oh, now he's gonna fight me. Who are you? Drell's Omerin, failed mage. Nope. Sorry, bud. Looks like a Mythic Dawn cultist. Oh, they're wearing the robes. You're right. Weirdo. I imagine you guys ever played Morrowind? You can see that, or you have that experience of having spells fail. That's what that guy reminds me of. Okay, so let's try. See, SSE display tweaks. Take this, open it up, go here, go there, go full screen true. Let's see if this still affects it. Run. Need a boob slider in US? I'm pretty sure there's boob sliders in race menu. There's like sliders for everything. It's like your pinky toenail size and length. Most of my Morrowind memories involve the sound of misses. Oh yeah. Spells, sword swings. Connor had that experience a little bit ago. He started playing Morrowind for a little bit. That wonderful universal experience of swinging right through an enemy and just having it not hit because the rolls behind the scenes didn't do it. You guys want to see my cats? Tyler, that's my boy Tyler. Just FYI, I got all pixeled. That's not good. We'll see how it goes. Show me the cue. Look, there she is. I'm gonna wake her up and make her come hang out on stream. Hope US runs great on my PC. I got mega power to run ultra and above on all AAA games, yet Skyrim's engine forever struggles. If you have a powerful PC, Miami, you're going to be fine. I think in some areas, even on SE, with the amount of stuff that we've crammed into like towns and things like that, like it can and likely will dip below 60. But those areas, it's like, I don't know, not quite as bad to have like slight frame rate dips there, and like elsewhere, like in interiors and like out in the world, you should get really good performance. I'm going to upgrade at some point. Sorry, I'm stretching my back. Here, Cuber. There she is. She's a big cat, that's for sure. There she is. Hey, look at the camera. Oh. Just sleepy. Oh. She's a sweetheart too. Yeah. tuxedo cat. Oh. 4 wild beasts running amok in my garden. Oh yeah, I do love dogs too. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. There you go. Ugh. God, she's heavy. Oh man, had to labor with a friend. I'm sorry, DM. Hopefully you get to see her soon. Here, let me grab this one too. He's, oh my god, like the softest cat there ever was. Whoa. What's up, doofus? Hi. He likes to sit kind of like this. He's kind of just like tucked into you. He's a lot bigger now than he used to be, but this is his shtick. Oh man, that is a beastly machine. You're spoiled. Yeah. He's super cute. What he'll do is he kind of like puts his face like in you. And look. Bud. Say hello. Right? Oh, what is that? Someone's at the door. Oh. He's gonna go investigate, see what happened. Also, it's very hi. Hello. Wanna go out, see who's at the door? Huh? Yes, no, maybe so? Hopefully not. Oops. Alright, let's jump back in here. What time is it? 2:30? Alright, we got about 30 minutes left in the stream. Came to watch Skyrim, got cats. Hell yeah. I wish cats were bigger. These ones are pretty big, I'm telling you. They're bigger than many small dogs. Has Discord gone down? It's possible. Sometimes it has been having some problems lately. So he is like 1, maybe even less, and she's like 5 or 6. You know, he's probably maybe a little older than 1 now. I'm bad at remembering the cat's ages. I thought Q was 4 years old for like 4 years. Oh, whoops. Hello, Inigo. Like lion size. Well, that would be pretty cool if you could have like, you know, a pet lion or whatever, but I don't know, something about having... Alright, let's see if the lag is there now. I'm watching the preview. It looks better. Perhaps still not great, but definitely better. Right? What's up, dude? Yeah, so something about that borderless window seems to be causing problems. Shut up, dude. Shut up. I'm gonna kill you with this small dagger. This guy sucks. Something's clearly going wrong with his AI or he can't even fight. Am I in the mod yet? Not quite yet, but getting there. Hey, Mad Me, how you doing? What's he blocking with? I don't know. He's got some non-weapon. He's coming over here and picking up a weapon. Boom. Fuck off. Oh! Got him. Kill moves are weird. Whoa, hello. Whoa! Also, did he just not die and turn invisible? Some strangeness happening here. Oh. Oh, I think the horse despawned. That person died. There he goes. So yeah, so I have like the depth of field on right now. Just kind of like I'm experimenting with having it on, but typically I don't. Typically I don't because it's, you know, such a performance hog, but this new one is actually pretty crazily not surprising. However, here, blur, manual focus depth. What was the thing that I changed before? Far curve. Let's see. Go. Point. Was it this one? Where like you really. What? This guy's so strange. Didn't I kill you? 2 times. What's your deal, bro? You dead for real this time? Ugh. He's twitching. Alright. I mean, he literally is a Mythic Dawn cultist. Interesting. Okay, I gotta figure out... Because, like, I want to make sure that it doesn't show up too close. Or maybe if I even just do this. Maybe autofocus. I thought it came back to life again, but it was you moving him. Huh. Near blur curve. I can't remember manual focus depth. I can't remember what I did. Bokeh intensity, shape, max size. I tweaked something. Blur render res. I'd have to mess around with it to make sure that it's like good to go. It's like it's already starting to happen there. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's not it. Autofocus sample radius. Near blur curve. Hyperfocus. Oh, this is what it is, I think. Yeah, yeah. So that determines when it starts to happen, like how close you have to get, right? Because I just don't like it when it's like I'm looking at something, like, see, like that's cool. But like being able to have it start happening from here, like not so much. You know what I mean? Distant blur is the far blur curve. You don't have manual focus enabled. What does manual focus do? I think this is kind of that. Like this setting is the one that I like messing with because that determines like how far away you have to be before the effect kicks in, right? Flying horse is the reason I remove horses on patrol. I don't know what it is about the AI that just does that. Do I have a camera mod on? Not really. I have customizable camera, but I don't think Crush McPoopy Large Huge. I forgot that's what we named her. Seems good balance. DOF is a DOF. What the fuck? This is a tricky thing. Yeah, I mean, I do like the effect a lot. I just think that it needs to be used sparingly. And most of the time, I just straight up turn it off because you can't get it running without affecting the performance, right? But like, you can see it's Marty McFly's like thing that Rudy added in like the newest shader. Seems to be doing a great job. I've never seen one that performs that well. Here you kind of get a sense of, you know, what Whiterun looks like. Hop up here. Go. Those actually Majestic Mountains looks kind of dark with this EMB. Probably go change it to the medium one. In fact, I'll do that. Let me make a note to do that. No. Please stop. Look at that. Right down the mouth. That's not the command. Blop. Some games do depth of field pretty well. This one is also tasteful as far as I can tell on the stream. It's just a matter of tweaking it, I think. Trees in the distance look weird, almost like a painting. So nothing that you see here is actually, like, there's no Dindulod installed. So, like, everything in the distance is going to look very weird. They don't have any shadow. They're billboards, and they don't have shadows or anything on them. So they won't have that. Let me make a note in my handy-dandy this thing. I'm going to say edit Majestic Mountain textures. Because I think now with the new EMB, they're going to be a bit too dark. I used the dark before because I thought they worked better with Obsidian. But oops, now I left the chat obscured. There we go. What's your favorite place to eat? This is Rudy Svala. The newest Rudy, which is really, really cool. I mean, I think Rudy is kind of the she's so badass. I think Rudy is kind of the typical hotness on SSE. There are some other ones that are nice. And Equinoctium has its own that looks pretty solid, but I really just like Rudy's, which Obis was compatible with Requiem. You can make it compatible. It's not so bad. Let's go to... What's a place you guys want to see while we still have some time, since we're doing kind of a graphical showcase in a sense. Without distant graphics, that is. Maybe Falkreath. Falkreath is a personal favorite for me. I like those thick, with 2 C's, forests. Oh, I'm so hot. It's so hot in here. Oh, I'm sweating. Can't go wrong with Rudy. I switched over to SE recently. I've been loving Rembrandt. Interesting. Yeah, Sacroletius has been working on his Falkreath overhaul extensively. Huh. What's up, bruh? Maybe we can make that a little less. Depth of field. Hyperfocal. Oh, did it load back again? Look at that, and then let's see how close do I need to get to this man. Or did I do the wrong setting again? No, that was the right one, right? Am I correct? Did it just reset itself somehow? Hold still. Oh. See, that's even still like a little far away. Let's see here. Holds Overhaul Falkreath is very, very good. It is. I really like the layout of the town. One problem, though, is that all the Hold's interior cells, I've noticed this, have, like, no sound. Is this... Okay, that is the command. Because I really just, for me, it's like, I only want it to happen if I get, like, right up close. Maybe not quite so far away. Call it 008. That's pretty good. I'll save. Yeah, of course, Sacroletius. Post whatever you like. We're happy to see it. Yes, Sacroletius is a champion. Solitude Arch, huh? Sovngarde, Solitude Arch. What else did I miss? Take a list here. We got Markarth. Okay. Oh, Markarth looks great. Rebuilding Winterhold. I mean, it looks a little better right now. It's with JKs, but there's no mods for rebuilding it ourselves yet. All right, so we got Markarth, Solitude, Sovngarde. We can go to all these places. What causes armor to be removed in water in Alt Sky? That might be bathing in Skyrim doing something. Remove ambient occlusion plus 10 FPS. So check this out. The ambient occlusion, once again, so normally I'm right there with you, Cisco, but the ambient occlusion in this Rudy preset, the most recent one, is surprisingly performance friendly. Where am I at? Ambient occlusion. Alright, so what we got? Let's see. I'm gonna sneeze. So that's about 50, 57, 56, between 55 and 60. Take it off. Oh, actually, it did go up. Well, 62, 63. But now I gotta turn on the one from the game. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's bathing in Skyrim. There's like a setting for it. Alright, I'm also gonna make a note to... I'll probably just defer to the default ambient occlusion instituted by the game. Like, the game's AA, the tessellated anti-aliasing, and also the depth of field, or the, well, the depth of field too, but the ambient occlusion are, like, surprisingly good for how performance intensive they aren't, if that makes sense. Here's Falkreath, how beautiful. So I'm just going to turn that off, and then I saved this, right? Depth of field. Sure. Save this configuration. Blades Temple area. Oh, yeah! So the Blades Temple area actually turned on the overhaul, too, so it should look pretty good. Alright, so we got Markarth. You guys are going to have to remember this, because I will forget. Whoa, DDoS attack on Discord? Damn. Everyone's really mad that they're taking away their funny, what's it called? Funny copy. Yeah, Alan, so like I was saying earlier, there's not, I mean, there are mods for rebuilding Winterhold. We don't have any in there right now. Right now, I do have Winterhold kind of, it looks a bit more, full because of JK's. But yeah, it's maybe we can add something like that in, but only if it's done tastefully. All right, so first up, Markarth. Markarth exterior 01. The cool thing here is we're going to get to see the retexture of Markarth, which I think is one of the coolest retextures in the entire build. I downloaded an imager on my phone, and like just for, you know, uploading stuff, and now it's constantly hitting me with like notifications. Look, Foggy Winterhold, or Markarth, jeez. Yeah, Winterhold could be one of those like rebuild a town kind of scenarios. You guys want to watch Margaret get killed? Excuse me. Not today, bruh. No, you. Ow. Stop telling me that I've stepped on you. I didn't Oh, brutal. Margaret, look, I saved you.
By the gods, that man nearly killed me. You saved my life.
Yeah, she looks like a Kai Lily NPC. She looks pretty good as for, you know, for a townsfolk. Might be a little over beautified, but whatever. Helgen Reborn, exactly. Helgen Reborn is so cool.
I should never have come to Markarth.
No, ugh. Only found out you can save her recently. Yeah, I mean, you really have to be quick. In the default game at the very least, just because like this is a interior cell, right? Or like its own world space. You can't move for like half a second before or once you load into the thing, and he can't. So he's like already sneaking up on her and gonna stab her. Skin too smooth, needs more dirt. Yeah, you could. Same thing though, it's like for these townsfolk, it's like they don't really do much. Like I think Margaret works at like one of these little things. Like she's not out there really like getting that dirty.
Right in front of me.
Ugh. She's plenty old and dirty.
See that madman? A forsworn agent here in the city.
Some people just, you know, really care about their complexion, you know? Skyhaven Temple, that was the name. Was it a lost in the... Yes. Okay, so we got Markarth. Let's go ahead and let's clear up the weather. Kvatri built. Yeah, like, so Helgen Reborn is really cool. It's just that it requires you to take on vampires like very early on, and that just does not fly in Requiem. We might be able to make like an edit to it if we make them all like super fledgling vampires or something. Yeah, isn't this so cool? So we got JK's Dawn of Skyrim, and also the Markarth retexture to me is just fantastic. Like this kind of, it's like almost like white, not quite marble. It's got a different consistency to it, but it's like this it's called the White City of Markarth. I think it might be Frank Family. Frank Family makes amazing textures if you're not familiar, but in my opinion, it's real good. Oh yeah, the Outlaws Refuge is up here.
We'll handle things from here. Move along.
So here we go. With where is it? It's like over here. Down here. Or wait, where's the no. I know where it is. No. Do I know where it is? I do and I don't. I know where like the entrance is. I don't know how to get. Haha! Here we go. Hup! Up! Let me up! Let me up! Oh, almost there. Oh shit! Not quite. There we go. And we're back. Look, guys, it's the Outlaws Refuge. Maybe make the vampires into vampire thralls. That could be like those are the kind of solutions we're gonna have to do. I heavily overhauled Helgen Reborn. Oh shit, Sacrilegious. Have the game start before Uriel's kill you, pre-destruction Kvatch. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because you never really do get to explore it, huh? DM Harms legit changes my favorite city. This is incredible. Isn't it cool? So you have like the combo of course, excuse me, you know, JK's and Dawn of Skyrim, which are absolutely amazing, right? But also, oh, where does this go? Oh, it goes to the sewers. That's right. The retexturing I think is really, really good, and also, you know, with like the weather and the lighting mods, it really is special. Markarth kind of deserves that attention. I think it kind of doesn't quite get the same level of attention as some of the other cities for whatever reason. Maybe because it's kind of a depressing place. Yeah, so here we are in Markarth. Is that vanilla, that room there? No, that is the Outlaw Refuges, which are a mod added. They're essentially like a, kind of like a thieves refuge. Yeah, like a robber's den for non-law-abiding characters. It's essentially to give you access to, like, fences and stuff, even if you're not in the Thieves Guild. I think it's kind of not so fun the way that, like, if you want to make a living as a thief, you're essentially shoehorned into being in the Thieves Guild. So the Outlaw Refuges are a good way of kind of getting around that. And they're patched to connect to the sewer networks in each major city. So you kind of have a clandestine way in and out if you kind of figure out how to get in there. And there's still incentives to use, like, the Thieves Guild fences if you are part of the Thieves Guild, because the economy mods will make sure that you get better prices because you are, like, friends and part of the same faction with the Thieves Guild fences. Okay, what was up next? We got Markarth, and then someone said the Solitude Arch, I want to say. Are there still autosaves at the settlement doors? Do you mean, like, when we're going in and out of the cities, Alan? In general, we're going to have, like, an autosave system that runs kind of in the background. Is there a skill for Speechcraft that allows you to fence stuff to any vendor? I think there's a perk. But it's like, I don't know, it's pretty high up. Move the tall mast in the Solitude outskirts, completely change the interior. Move Reinhardt's house, add an option, pay off Reinhardt's debt yourself, and as such, skip the fight cave section of Helgen Reborn. Yeah, why can't you do that? Sacrilegious, like, why would they? It's like, we need the money. It's like, you have to get the money this way. Fix several dialogue typos, tweak follower dialogue, be more in line with the vanilla lines, close the door to Thalmor Prison. Or relevant quest. Very cool. We used to actually include it in some of the earlier builds of Alt Sky plot, but it just, there was too much of a difficulty spike. Oh, this is weird. It just because you fought vampires, like in Requiem. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to essentially replace those enemies with something else that wouldn't also break the contiguity of the quest. Why not just delay the quest until level 20? You could, but, you know, level 20... I mean, also, I'm generally not a fan of, like, gating things that way. But we could. Honestly, you might even want to, like, leave it until higher level. But that's not a bad solution either, Alan. It just even feels weird within the context of, like, the quest line itself. Like, the quest line... Let's say you even gate it at level 20... You're still fighting, like, in the very early part of the quest line, stuff that is way, way harder than what it's going to throw at you later in the quest line. So it kind of is a strange difficulty progression, even if you do that. If you get blended roads, Dylan, it should fix issues with the road textures looking messy, weird. I actually do have blended roads installed here, Vengeful, and I think they're actually working there. It's just that something's weird with, like, how the textures are being, like, mismatched or something. Or, like, how the textures are being applied to, like, this area. Like, you can see, like, that's the correct texture. It does blend. It's just somehow this is getting painted on. Stuff is kind of weird like that. But rest assured, I'll iron all that stuff out. It could also be, like, the SMIM patches and things. Because sometimes blended roads, it needs to be patched to work properly. So it doesn't do this, and, like, I just threw this all on willy-nilly to kind of, like, show it off, so it should be fixed, but you're probably right. Solitude Arch. Solitude is, oh man, let me tell you, I got big plans for Solitude. Yeah, Sacrilegious, I would love if you could release that. I mean, I know you accumulate all your tweaks and stuff anyway, and have them all stored. That once upon a time, or one day, we're going to get those bad boys installed. It'll be so sick. The more Sacrilegious mods, the better, right? Look, guys. We can actually see through. Oh, it's raining. Ugly. Oh, and also the rain in... This is another thing about Equinoctium versus Obsidian. The rain looks way better, in my opinion. Shush. Oh, see, we've got some issues here with open cities. Or maybe because of the rain, people are, like, running home. Let's see what Sorix Vinius looks like. Oh yeah, he's got the wrong face tint. Alright, let's make this. Yeah, the rain is really, really good in Equinoctium, in my opinion. There we go. That's better. Safari. Vivian. Yeah, I got big plans for Solitude to be even more stacked than it is now with stuff. Also Whiterun, really all the cities. You guys know how it is. Open City sounds like such a good idea. It always messes stuff up. I mean, it's really complex what it's trying to do, bringing all that stuff into the open world space. But to me, it is. I think it's worth the effort, just because that feeling of like a contiguous world space is just so cool. It's really tough to beat, and I don't know. It's good practice, to be honest with you. Like getting stuff, like learning how to patch stuff for open cities. But it just gives me that Morrowind feel. It's actually not quite as, was Vivian wearing mage robes? Was she? Where'd she go? Is she here? Terry. She might be. Oh, and someone asked about clothing mods earlier. That was probably, so you can see there's a lot of clothing variety. It's probably, common clothes and armors. It's like the combination of brigandage. What are you wearing, Vivian? Here, let's get her, so she'll take it off. Hello, Miss Lady. I forgot. Remember that one time? Oof, brutal. We went up to to kind of like get, you know, a front row seat, and they actually got mad at us. They attacked us for getting on the stage, so to speak, and I was very surprised by that. I wasn't expecting it. A bug and helps to have a map. You try opening a map when it's raining, get booted out due to not having a map. The rain will be invisible. Whoa, that's weird. Main city Enderal is really cool. Wish the city in Skyrim was similar to it. I really want to try Enderal. I gotta do it soon.
Go away.
Alright, geez, take it easy. What's up, Sorix? So here's Vivian's outfit. Kind of, it's like a similar to like a mage's robe. Open style is something I like, probably because letting me walk in and out of cities in The Witcher 3. So what the... I really think, even so, like, I'm running all the texture mods and stuff right now, and you can see like the frame rate will dip down, but I'm also streaming, and like my computer's getting, I don't know, 36. So I think without the graphics mods and stuff, it is it's going to make your frame rate go down, but I think that the possibilities that you get for having open cities is really worth it, and it'll probably be part of the core build for that reason. Like, I'm probably going to add the ability to like climb on stuff, and we'll have things like sneak tools that allow you to kind of get like up and over walls and just a bunch of stuff like that that really kind of encourage you to explore the verticality of these cities. And open cities is really cool for that. I have played through Hold Solitude, and that is actually part of what I'm talking about in terms of additions. I have different plans for the docks themselves, but like the holds, kind of like interweaving stuff and like out in front of the city, I'll probably make use of. It's going to be a combo of like this plus holds plus what is the super cool one? Skyrim Radioactive. Plan on implementing things like sneak tools or suspicious city guards. Those are actually both in there already. It'd be cool as heck to climb on stuff. Yeah, so it's a bit more like Daggerfall. When do you expect to finish it? If you're talking about those features, you Gaia, those won't be in there for, at least like holes won't be in there for quite a while. You can play as paper, it doesn't last in the rain. You have to open it under an awning or indoors when it's raining. You can play as paper. I'm not quite following Brittany. What doesn't last in the rain? Oh, the paper world map. Yeah, well, I think it makes sense that the world map isn't able to be open, but if it makes the rain invisible, then that would, I'm sure, be a problem. Okay, so we got Solitude Arch is what we were supposed to take a look at. It's kind of nice because this is it's golden hour. You know what I mean? Whoop. Let's go on down. Oops. On. I wish the guy who did Pirates of Skyrim would port that mod to SSE. That is Big Biscuit, actually. I think he's on the official Nexus staff now. He's the community manager. I've spoken with him many a time about all different kinds of stuff. He helped me change my name on the Nexus when I was kind of rebranding from Belmont Boy to just my name. Wow. There's your Solitude Arch. The texture's a bit dark. Also, we've got some non-Dindulod Z fighting there. But you kind of get like a sense of it. Also, the docks aren't here. So just imagine this area much more full of stuff. And eventually that'll be what you see. Alright, so we had that. And then we had a request for Sovngarde, I believe. Give me a cell. Here we go. Wow. Guys, we gotta find out how to defeat Alduin. Alduin. Keep forgetting how old this. There changes to Sovngarde. I mean, in the sense that like some of the textures that it makes use of are edited and improved, and also a lot of the characters. What's up, dude? Alright, bye, Alan. Whoa. Who's this man? It's all foggy. What is doing that? Oh, I guess it's Skyrim. Oh, shit. Whoops. I don't know what's going on there. Let's get the actual Sovngarde back. Fine. Here we go. 01. Now you can see some of the characters. They might have tint issues. Watch the statue. They keep following you? Really? So yeah, here you go. It's like general texture improvements. Also character improvements.
My disciples still follow the difficult path. The way of the voice is neither wide nor easy. But if you stray
My man.
from wisdom, then the sovereign God will not return.
Far you've traveled, your trials long. To taste
Sovngarde's pretty cool, right?
sweet delights.
Statues follow you. That's crazy. Shows you how many times I've actually been to Sovngarde. That's a cool like effect they all have.
For 100 lifetimes, my heart has burned for revenge on Alduin too long delayed.
Alduin escaped us long ago. Today we take our well-tempered revenge.
The endless wait gives way to battle. Alduin's doom, his death or ours.
A cup of mead and trade tales of our time on Moon.
Pretty cool, right?
Seek ye food or song unending? Fighting, drinking, fellowship, and
Nice.
find well done have yet.
This guy just fucking jamming out. Saw diverse dragons, dragon combat overhaul. Oh yeah. DCO. I'm really glad that Apollo's mods are back. That's really nice. Okay. What else we got? There was a Dragon Ruler Temple. It's not Dragon. That's Cloud Ruler Temple that I'm thinking of. What is it called? Cloud Ruler Temples from Oblivion. This one's called freaking someone help me out here. No, wait, no, don't tell me. I can't remember. What is it? It is... Why is Cloud Ruler Temple just sticking in my brain like that? Skyhaven Temple. Got it. Oh, yeah. See, I didn't look, though. I didn't look. Alright, let's see here. Help. Skyhaven. Also set game hour to 12. Help. Skyhaven. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see the outside, which is like vastly overhauled as well. Skyhaven is one of the only places in the game that I know of, if not the only place, where if you have not passed the requisite quests and whatever, if you try to go where it's telling, or like where the outside area is, it will actually push you out. It's kind of crazy. Also, you won't get to see all the improvements to Skyhaven, but so one of the big focuses for me is like all these places that you get to kind of have as your bases in these quest lines, right? So like the main quest, Thieves Guild, College of Winterhold, Companions. all of the bases that you get, they're kind of like underwhelming in the base game, and so I like to, you know, add mods that really help them become awesome, right? Yeah, Final Ranger, the one that you're talking about, is in there. So there's a mixture. I have it patched between that. It's like Skyhaven Temple Gardens, and then also the JK's improvements to Skyhaven, and then the interior of Skyhaven is also vastly improved and will like progressively get more improved as you progress along the quest line. So Skyhaven Temple. All right, straight up. Ultimate Oblivion would be something. So you'll get to see the like the texture improvements, but hopefully you'll also get to see yeah. So to me, it looks much cooler than it does to start with. It has a much, like, if you guys have seen this in the default like vanilla state, it looks way less cool. Like, I can't even tell you. But this is like a straight up like Indiana Jones, like overgrown kind of like underground, right? And it will, like, as you know, progress through the blades and you clean it up, and there's like way more stuff like in here, and you can recruit more blades, and just there's a bunch of fixes. But if I can compare for you, let me bring up like an image. Let's see if we can get one of like vanilla Skyrim Skyhaven Temple. Skyhaven Temple images. Where's like a good one that does like the... Oh, so you can kind of see the outside, but maybe like the interior. Say interior? Yeah, see, this is the mod that we use. I want to see what it looks like. All right, here you go. It's kind of gets you there. So that's what it looks like by default. Don't get me wrong, it's cool-ish, but like, to me, this is way cooler, personally. Now, let's see if we can't get outside. It's probably going to try and push us out. You'll see what I mean, but hopefully you can kind of see. And a lot of the improvements, once again, they're tied to like quest stages and stuff, so you won't actually see them until you're along the quest. I think it's Skyhaven Interior, Scully. Also, there's some text. Yeah, so it already is pushing me, I think. Yep. So if I go like this, whatever, I should be able to get in here. So here's the gardens. Same thing. The gardens are not quite kempt yet, but you can kind of get a feel for what they're gonna look like. And yes, if it won't push me out if I'm toggling collision like this, but the second I turn it off, you'll see. And then here you can see kind of like the forge, like little additions that are made for you to use it. And it becomes like an actually used or useful base, right? Now watch this. I turn this off. Boom! Rubber bands me right on out. It's so strange. I don't know of any other place in the game that does that. Also, you can see what the reach kind of looks like in the daytime. And also, this is just something I think I activated this. So let's go take a look at High Hrothgar, because that's got some texture improvements. And then also, I always thought it was strange how... Oh, I guess it's just High Hrothgar. High Hrothgar doesn't really have any sort of like place for you to stay. I guess because there's, you know, everyone like fast travels, generally speaking. But I added a mod that I think is a really cool kind of like compromise for that, where you get this kind of like the Greybeard set up just like a little spot for the Dragonborn to stay and to, like, you know, have like a little bit of storage, a safe place to sleep and eat and cook. It's over yonder. What's your thoughts on truly absorbed dragon souls? What is that again, Vengeful? Where is the entrance? I know it's somewhere over here, I think. I hope I turned it on. Will USSE have Bruma? Definitely not out the gate, but maybe one day. Courtyard. Yes, the kitchen. There it is. So I really like this a lot. I gotta fix that door placement, though. So this is like their kitchen, right? Also, probably ought to make this oven a little smaller so it doesn't clip the way that it is here. But it's like this little area that's like an ice cave where they just, you know, like the Greybeards just have kind of basic storage for their food. And they have this little like ice cave where they keep things cold. And there's like a little water source, like a spring for them. So I think it adds to the believability of the temple itself. It's like, how are they eating all this stuff, right? Or like, how do they prepare food and where they get their water? But it also gives you like a place to bathe. It gives you a place to just sleep and rest and, you know, put your stuff while you're here in High Hrothgar. Pretty cool. Boost stats like Magicka on Dragon Kill after absorbing a Dragon Soul. You get a buff to stats like health. Oh, that could be cool. I like that idea a lot. Let me... Here, I'll grab it real fast. And add it to my list of cool things. Here we go. Now we're back in business. True Dragonborn by G Industries. Special Edition. Nice. Oh, so if you don't spend them on the shouts, then you get the bonuses. While you possess the Dragon Soul. That's interesting. I like that as like a cool player choice where it's like you can hold on to them and get more power, or you can expend them on the shouts. That's cool. I like that a lot. Files. Food and water gets delivered to them by Klimek and Vanilla. It's true, but it's like, how often? You know what I mean, Connor? It's supposed to be, I mean, like, I know that the mountain's small, just, you know, in the actual game, but it's supposed to be a lot larger, and Klimek doesn't make that trip tremendously often. I always got the impression that it was kind of like an every once in a while kind of thing. Because, I mean, otherwise, it's like, I don't know, what is he bringing them groceries like every Monday or something like that? It makes more sense to me that they have at least some sort of like storage internally and a way to keep the food. Even the food that he does bring them, you'd have to find a way to store it, depending on how perishable it is. Let's see. There we go. I mean, I can always customize it. Alright, is there any other place that we'd like to see before we sign off? Because I'm going to have to get going here pretty quick. Got to eat some lunch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. Sorry it was a little not Skyrim related through the middle of it, but I do enjoy it. I hope you do too. Oh shit, no, whoops. Oopsie. Let me get these transparent and refracting. Ooh. It's interesting. Have I ever downloaded this? Oh, you know what? I know this mod. I remember it. Is there something else that uses this effect too? And I imagine the Greybeard's trying to buy groceries. Just use Amazon Prime. Alright, I'm going to download this. I feel like maybe I mean, it said I didn't download it. Oh, damn it. Why do I keep hitting that? Oh, you know why? It's because I used to use the Skyrim Special Edition icon for my mod organizer too. So now I'm like used to clicking it. Alright, make sure it's getting all these. Nice. And then... Who's this man? Pretty Gemstone, Soul Him. Oh, yeah. I don't know how I ended up with this one. What is this one? Cinematic Dragon Soul. Valiant Shout, Epic Build, Music Flow, Cinematic Explosion of Power. Oh my gosh. This one feels familiar to me too. I feel like I've seen it before. Hypothetical. If Requiem 5.0 were released today, how long would it take for SSE to be ready? It's really not Requiem so far that's the bottleneck, JS, because we can even use the other ones. If that were released today, I would still say I can't like give you a definitive date, but like the first versions are just going to be the conflict resolved versions of what you see here, right? Like everything I'm doing is conflict resolution. That includes the appearance mods, technically. So just as I move through this, just conflict resolving. Right now I'm still doing USEP, right? But that's because it includes so many different records. The farther down this list we go, generally the easier and easier the mods become to conflict resolved, with the exception of mods like Requiem and, you know, weapons and all the Cryptoper mods that edit like all the different things. But a lot of those will also be done by the time we get to this part of the list. It's one of the benefits of going top down. The other unfortunate thing, though, is that it's somewhat difficult to anticipate how many or how long it'll take. But at this point, I can't really give you a date. As I get to the point where I can, you know, then we can start talking about it. But I learned my lesson with 4.0 that I really shouldn't start giving out dates until we have a clearer idea of how long it's going to be. Will we be able to use Automaton to install once it's released, or are we following an install guide? The release will be absolutely as auto as it can be, Sneaky Bear. Even more automated than previous ones, ideally. Whiterun. Sure, we can see Whiterun real fast. Use Parthy as an Uber to get groceries. Now, that's actually a good idea. Do I really need to run quick auto clean on the stuff loot is telling me to? You talking about for Ultimate Skyrim? Don't do any. If you're talking about Ultimate Skyrim, do not do anything that. Don't use loot. Don't do anything that it doesn't explicitly tell you to do. I'm your project manager now, scooping out your deliverables. Absolutely. Makes dragons not turn to skeletons, which really fits well with Hunterborn corporeal dragons. Oh yeah, that I do remember as well. That being a problem, I mean the corporeal dragons. Here, let's download this. What about this one? Because I do like these. I wouldn't download them if I didn't like the idea. So I do think it's cool. Cinematic Dragon Soul. What does this do? Oh, shit. Wow, intense. I mean, that is pretty cool. I would worry that the voice is might not, yeah, maybe there's like alternate versions here. Oh. Wordless male raw, wordless scream. Oh my god. The music is weird to me too. It's like it's like the no build music option. Yeah, maybe it's addressing me, players like me right here. No build music, no music building up, I guess is what they mean. No build music, no scream, or both. I don't know if this is... I like some of what it does. Other parts of what it does are a little not to my taste. Especially if, like, because it's like if you don't have the build up, then the music at the end. I would almost rather just not have the music at all. And I guess for me, it's also hard to hear this song in game without me thinking of either the trailer or the menu screen. Maybe. I can mess with it. At some point, maybe. I don't know if I'd want them shouting Dovahkiin for sure. It's kind of like... It's like, why am I shouting my own name? Kind of thing, you know what I mean? This one I really like. That one I'll download, or I already did. What do we got? Dragon Remains. Alright, cool. Oh, some mod changes the skin textures of Hunterborn. That is hunting in Skyrim. That we already have in there. Will it still use Automaton or Wabbajack? We haven't decided yet, CT. I mean, Meth has ceased development on Automaton for now, so it's like decently likely that Wabbajack will be the solution. We also have Azura Star. I'm basically just going to look at what creates the absolute easiest and then go with that. Can I add other mods to Ultimate Skyrim? If you know what you're doing, you have to be pretty proficient though with conflict resolution, and you know, you really got to know what you're doing, or else it can mess stuff up. Scream, I find distracting. Skyrim Ball Z. Some teenage guys shouting. That one shout sounded, it's like someone's being tortured to death. Imagining the modder sitting in his room at 3 a.m. doing this. Absolutely. Sounds like he's being, yeah, skinned alive. Like that first one, it's like, okay, that's like, you know, like, oh, like I'm being powered up. And the second one's like, ah, like I'm just being skinned or murdered. My wife is going to hear me screaming from the other room. All right, well, I'll toss it in here just to have it, and if it is as modular as it seems to be, we can always mess with it. All-in-one foam mod installer, sure, why not? I'll add it to the list. Yeah, Leroy Jenkins, there you go. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it for the stream. We wanted to see Whiterun was the last thing, right? So I can show you Whiterun just right quick. Oh God. Oh, there we go. This is the bokeh. Kind of new here and new to modding in general. Is what you were building going to be able to be downloaded and played for everyone? Yes, MaxCat, absolutely. An earlier version is available on Legendary Edition right now at ultimateskyrim.com. But this one is it's kind of the SE port, and it's still coming along. All right, here we go. Whiterun, exterior 01. Thank you very much, DM. Oh, of course, Vengeful. That's why I do these streams, is to give me a chance to connect with you guys. The community, the audience. Let's see who's on Twitch right now that we can raid. Typically George is online whenever I finish these. Zero Period Productions. Who, by the way, if you guys have not seen it yet, George, Zero Period Productions, just did he just released a new video that covers, it's like a preview of Odyssey of the Dragonborn, which is the next kind of thing by the Legacy of the Dragonborn team and Ice Cream Assassin. It's a really, really cool overview, I think, of the, I'm just going to skip, use the parkour skip, speedrunning tactics, except for, actually I can't because there's an awning here. Oops. Oopsie. Why is it in caps? Even though my keyboard's not. Here's Whiterun. And there's going to be more stuff out there. There's all kinds of stuff getting added to Whiterun, like the market and yada, yada, yada. Over time. Ooh, excuse me.
We'll pay whatever it takes, but we must have more swords for the Imperial soldiers.
There you go. Beautiful. Love it. It's kind of empty right now. I wonder where everyone is. Maybe they're all having lunch in the inn. It's possible. I know I'm a cheater. Kept the gates. I thought you didn't like them. I did keep them, Connor. I think that they're cool. I softened on them somewhat. Oh, yep. I found everybody, guys. Everyone's having lunch. I guess it is 1:40. Everyone getting nice and warm. You guys need some more idle animation spots, don't you? Hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, hello, Frilgeth. Frilgeth, everyone's favorite character. Everyone's got to get warm. It does look kind of cold outside. I don't have Fusro Da, otherwise I would. Ulfrid Battleborn. I hate this hair. What's up, dude? Sorry. Hill the Bulwark. Yeah, here we are. Who's this? Nomad. We gotta add those to the real names repositories. It's real warm in here, though. Anyway. CTs, I found a mod the other day, adds an insane amount of new NPCs. Yeah, there's so many. Skyrim belongs to the Nords. I feel like I've seen that one. Look, it's Orange County. Dude, totally. No kidding. This is not social distancing. I know you just said you didn't want to give a time frame. 6-month project, 3 months, 2022. I'm relatively comfortable saying that I'm trying to get that first build out by the turn of the year, right? Which, of course, it's not the one with like all the crazy features, just essentially the port of the LE version. But I think that's fair. to say. It should be available, those first beta versions, by that point. We will see. Just don't hold me to it, because I mean, I'm going to continue building it out past that point into 2021, etc. But I'm trying to get it into your guys' hands as quickly as possible. Also, just because the playtesting data is so valuable, and it's such a wide game, obviously, right? And there's so many different mods and things that even with our entire testing team, there's going to be so much stuff that we can't catch on our own. So it'll be really useful, getting that first just initial conflict resolved and bug fixed version out to you guys, and then we get a baseline that we can all work from and then start to build on top of. So that'll be, yeah, exactly, modularity and focus on releases, as Plot says. Instead of trying to throw in everything in the kitchen sink, just getting like an initial viable build, an MVP, and then building iteratively on top of that. So hopefully that addressed all you guys' questions. If you have more, you know where to catch me next week, same time, Friday at noon. Thank you all for joining me. It is wonderful getting to talk to you guys, as always. Let's go ahead and see who's doing stuff. Oh, here we go. 0 period. All right, we're going to raid George. Sound good, everybody? Let's go ahead and see who's doing stuff. Shush. Shush me. If it's released in 10 years, it'll still be out before TS6. I don't know about that, but I don't think TS6 will be out for at least a while. Am I doing this right? Yeah, raid 0 period productions. It doesn't seem to be working. Or is it? Okay, no, it worked. Thanks, guys. You guys all have a great afternoon and evening, depending on what time it already is, and have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me again.